Hey guys, how are you all? Welcome back to my channel. Today we will see what if Naruto has one arm. If you enjoy, then please like, share and do comments. That was the only way to describe 6-year-old Uzumaki Naruto, who wandered the streets since he was 3, right now as a mob was beating him in an alley. Why, what have I done to deserve this? I'm sorry for whatever it is I've done, please stop, he pleaded while being kicked, punched, clawed, and stabbed. The demon asks us to stop. PFFT. Did you stop when you attacked us? No, come on, while the Hokage's not here, let's kill it, a chunin. Yeah, came the villagers' shout. They picked up Naruto and nailed him to the wall of the alley by shoving kunai through his ripped white shirt and torn up blue shorts, amazingly not cutting or stabbing him. Alright, move out of the way, shouted a drunken Junin. He then took out a poison-laced kunai and threw it at Naruto's heart. So this is it, I'm going to be killed for crimes I didn't commit, he thought. No. I will live and become Hokage, and they will acknowledge through fear or respect. The kunai was getting closer, then everything went black and he found himself in front of a cage with a tag on it with the kanji for seal. So my host decides to pay me a visit, came a booming voice. Who are you? Said Naruto. He knew he should fear this voice, the cage reeked of something evil, but he didn't, he felt calm here. Why should he fear who or whatever this was? His life was already hell, why should meeting a monster be any different? Ha 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 ha, who am I? I am the strongest of the Biju, the figures roared. Hearing this, Naruto started to realize who it was, but it was impossible. Then a giant fox with reddish-orange fur with long ears and 9 long tails appeared behind the cage. No way, Naruto whispered. I am the great devil known as the Kyuubi no Kitsune. The fox roared. Why are you here? You're supposed to be dead. The Yondaime, he was cut off. Sealed me inside you, he finished. What? He yelled. Yes, that fool Yondaime sealed me into you to save this village that treats you like the plague. You are the only thing keeping me from destroying this pitiful village. I have seen how this village treats you like you or me, the irony, he finished. Naruto just looked at the demon lord with no fear, or anger, just a blank stare. Look at the brave kid showing no fear, he said, looking down at him. My life is already hell. Meeting a local of the place doesn't scare me, and speaking of places, where are we? He said as he turned to look at the devil. Where in your mind, kid? He said casually. But on the inside he was intrigued by this boy who showed no fear in his presence, the boy with blue eyes that showed broken pieces of what little emotions he had. Why am I here? He asked. Your body is in shock and you must have been sent here as a result, he answered. So I'm close to death, he said. Well, maybe then my suffering will end at the hand of these villagers, he said, looking down. How pathetic, is this what you are reduced to, a coward, Kyuubi harshly said. Since you could hear, you have been called a monster. Since you could walk, you have felt pain and abandonment. Since you could run, you have been hunted. Since you could remember, your life has been a personal hell. Despite this, you have continued forward with strength a devil could admire. Naruto was sinking into acceptance of his death when the Kyuubi began to talking to him. Naruto began to feel the fire spark in him, the burning determination that the villagers could not put, what kept him going his whole life. He looked up at the devil fox. You're right. I kept going despite everything, and I'm not going down now, not after all the bullshit. Can't believe you saved me. Do not read too much into it. If you die, then so do I, just means to an end, the fox said, looking at his container. So if I wish to keep living, then we must get stronger. What do you mean we? Kid, if you are weak, then so am I. The boy just cocked his head to the side and squinted his eyes like a curious or confused fox. Hua, I have power, but if I cannot use it, therefore I am weak. So if I can help you gain your own power and teach to control mine, we will become stronger. Get it? Got it. Good, then a deal is necessary. A deal? Yes, I will make you strong, stronger than any ninja, Kyuubi said. What do you get in return? He asked. I want you to show the world our power, our strength, and to kill one vile piece of shit for me. The fox said. Who? A demon that killed some special to me. His name is Shiken, Kyuubi said, growling out the name. Okay, who's the other one? He is an old enemy of mine that killed my close comrades and his sons. We will talk about him later, Kyuubi said, looking at his container. I just have to take out this Orochimaru guy, some mystery enemy, and I'll have the power to make my dreams a reality. Humph, you got a deal, fuzzy, said the smirking blonde. Impudent Gaki, Kyuubi growled out, but if you look closely, a smirk was present. So, how are we doing this? Naruto asked the Great Devil. Rip off a piece of the seal. The fox said, pointing to the seal on its cage. Naruto nodded and climbed up the cage. Once he ripped off a piece of the seal, the Kyuubi said something that would piss Naruto off later. By the way, it is going to hurt a lot. As soon as the Kyuubi said that, red chakra flew out of the cage and grabbed Naruto and suspended him in mid-air. Naruto clenched his teeth in pain as the demonic chakra began to enter his system. It felt like all his nerves were on fire and his organs were being squeezed. Hokage's office. It had been hell for the Hokage this morning. They had found Sasuke Uchiha at the Uchiha compound to find his whole clan massacred. They had found the Uchiha heir in the fetal position muttering, "Why Itachi?" over and over again before one of the Anbu knocked him out. The Sandaime had sent Hunter Nin after Itachi to neutralize him, though he doubted they could do it. Sasuke had fallen into a coma induced by the Tsukiyomi that Itachi had used. "Knock, knock, knock. Come in," the Hokage said. The door opened to reveal two nin. The first was wearing a dog mask and his gray hair seemed to defy gravity. He was also wearing Anbu armor with black Anbu-style pants with a kunai pouch strapped to his right leg and a ninjutsu strapped to his back. He was also wearing gloves with metal plating on his backhand and studs on the knuckles. The other ninja was a kunoichi that has purple hair tied into a short ponytail. She had brown eyes and face that would be considered hot by the male population. She was wearing a trench coat with a fishnet shirt under it that did not leave much to the imagination. She was also wearing a short skirt, shin guards, and black ninja sandals with a kunai pouch strapped to her right leg. "Inu, dog, report," the Hokage ordered. "Hokage-sama," Inu saluted. "We have found no other surviving Uchihas at the compound. It seems Itachi was thorough in slaughtering his clan. The hunter nins have returned, but they lost any trace of Itachi's trail," the dog-masked nin reported. "I see, Anko report," the Hokage ordered. "Hokage-sama," Anko saluted. "There are no clues to why Itachi might have done this or where he went. We interrogated anyone that saw Itachi the day before. He didn't have any friends, besides Shisui, so there was no one to question on his whereabouts," Anko reported. "So we have a whole clan dead except for two members, one a traitor, and one in a coma. Fortunately, the doctors told me Sasuke will be up in a few months or so," the Hokage said, rubbing his temples. "The council will be worried about the other villages and the villagers will be in uproar. With the loss of the Uchiha clan, Konoha's strength has fallen significantly and will be weaker than ever before. Not to mention the material loss of almost our entire police force. I can see why you pulled me, cat, and bear off of guard duty for Naruto," Kakashi said. "Naruto, you mean the fox boy?" Anko asked with no malice. She knew what it felt like to be the village pariah and how it felt to be hated for someone else's actions. She was one of the people who respected the boy and had protected him. "Speaking of him, let me check up on him to make sure he's not causing trouble," the Hokage said, chuckling. Kakashi and Anko chuckled along with him. Everyone in the village knew that Naruto had a prankster streak, and amazingly he could outrun the Anbu for 8 hours, an impressive feat for a 6-year-old. "He does cause a lot trouble and I hope I'm not one to chase him when he gets older," Kakashi shuddered, and so did the Hokage and Anko. "That kid has got crazy stamina. I wonder how he would be in the sack in a few years. If only I was a few years younger," Anko said, causing both men to sweat drop. The Hokage cleared his throat and pulled out the scribing orb and called up the image of Naruto's whereabouts, and it did not please him. He saw Naruto being beaten by the mob of 20 civilians and shinobi. "Damn, Kakashi, Anko, follow me," the Hokage said. The two-leaf ninja immediately agreed, seeing the mob. 2 minutes later at the alley, the Hokage and the two-leaf nin appeared in time to see the kunai pierce Naruto's throat. "Naruto!" the Hokage shouted. The two-leaf nin had other thoughts. "Minato-sensei, I failed you," were Kakashi's thoughts as he looked on helplessly. "Damn villagers, he didn't deserve this," Anko thought, pledging to torture them horrifically. Then all hell broke loose. Red chakra surrounded Naruto and dislodged the kunai and healed his wounds. Then it burst outwards and everyone felt the killing intent. They had not felt it since the Kyuubi attack, and it chilled them to the bone to feel it again. The villagers had heart attacks while the shinobi could not breathe or move at all. Then they heard something that will haunt them until they died, which would be very soon. I am going to make you all disappear. Kyuubi knew off the 3 shinobi there and knew he couldn't take them while in temporary control of the body. If they knew he had awakened, then they might kill Naruto. He could not risk that. So he played the part of a hurt, angry Naruto. I'm going to make you all, he made his move, disappear. No one knew what happened. 1 second Naruto was talking and then he had his hand through the heart of the Jonin that threw the kunai. He was dead before he hit the floor. Naruto flexed his claws and charged towards the mob. He used his claws and slit the throat of a Chunin and took the kunai he held in his hands. He stabbed a civilian through the heart before proceeding to the next victim. Naruto killed the civilians and shinobi one by one, either striking them in vital points or slitting their throats. One shinobi tried to fight back only to have his head sliced off. Another tried the same but had his arm promptly ripped off and impaled with the kunai held in the torn-off appendage. He went through all of them in a matter of seconds until he came to a lone Chunin. He approached the Chunin slowly with the kunai in his hands. Any last words? He said. Please have mercy, he asked. Ironically, this was the same Chunin that Naruto had begged to. The ninja then found a kunai in his heart and collapsed on the ground lifeless. Sorry all out of that, Naruto said. He looked the bodies and roared, letting out a chakra pulse that was felt by the shinobi and had them there in an instant before slipping into unconsciousness. With the Hokage and most of the shinobi. Oh Kami, the Hokage said. He had felt that chakra before and realized many ninja would be after him, so he acted quickly. Kakashi, Anko, retrieve Naruto, the Hokage ordered. Hi. An hour later. Kill the demon. Finish what the Yondaime started. We must dispose of it. Were the words Sarutobi heard from the council. Hokage-sama, you felt that chakra and you know we must dispose of it, said one Hitomi Haruno. This was of course followed by shouts or agreement. Haruno-san, the boy was nearly killed by our own villagers and ninjas. It's this that caused him to use that chakra, the Hokage stated. The boy must be killed before he becomes a threat, said Inoichi Yamanaka. He is not a threat. The only reason that chakra came out was because he was attacked, the Hokage retorted. Furthermore, though you have forgotten the last wishes of the Yondaime, I have not. No harm will come to the boy, the Hokage said. I agree with Hokage-sama on leaving the boy alone. He has done nothing wrong, one Hiyashi Hyuga said, which served to silence most of the council because the Hokage and the Hyuga clan had the most influence and no one would dare go against their wishes. Thank you, Hiyashi. There will be no further discussion on what will happen to the boy. Dismissed, the Hokage said, and to up to check on Naruto, who was resting on the couch in his office. The Hokage walked in to see Kakashi and Anko watching over the boy. How is Naruto-kun doing, Kakashi? The Hokage asked. He's fine, just suffering from mental exhaustion and the strain the chakra put him through, Kakashi said. The paperwork for this incident is going to give me a headache, the Hokage said, clearly showing his hatred for the bane of the cages. I'll look after him until he wakes up. Let's hope nothing else happens, the Hokage said. Unfortunately, this would not be the case, as major changes would happen that would shake Konoha to its core once these changes were found out. In Naruto's mindscape, Naruto was sitting in Kyuubi's cage with the fox right in front of him. Well kid, it seems I was able to save your life and it looks like the old man with the red and white robes is guarding you, Kyuubi said. So the old man is guarding me, great, I knew I could count on him, Naruto said happily. True, I sense no malice from him, so it seems you can trust him. Now there's something we have to talk about, Kyuubi replied. What do we have to talk about, Fuzzy? Naruto asked, using his new nickname for Kyuubi. He growled a bit at this but continued. Well, first let's change this cage into something a bit more comfortable. Kyuubi told Naruto how to use his mind to change his mindscape. Naruto turned the sewers into a big field with a giant forest to the west, a great lake to the south, huge mountains to the north, a valley to the east, the big field they were standing in being the center. The bar of the cage flew out of the ground and wrapped themselves around the Kyuubi's neck, front and back legs, and his tails. Feels good to stretch my body again. Now kid, when you tore the seal something happened. Of course you could have warned me about the searing pain. Naruto shouted. Not that brat. Right now Yuki is invading and overwhelming your chakra system and turning you into a Hanyu, Kyuubi said. What? Shit, if the village ever finds out I'm dead, Naruto said. Don't worry about that, you won't gain any notable features except for your eyes becoming slits, your whiskers becoming more pronounced, and heightened senses but. Kyuubi trailed off at the end. But what fox? The whiskers and eyes can be hidden but you're going to grow fox ears. Kyuubi said quickly. What, how the hell am I supposed to hide the ears? Naruto shouted. There is an artifact close to the village that could solve your problem as well as keep you hidden while you change. Naruto looked up at the fox as he said that. What do you mean change? I thought I would have changed by now. The fox looked at Naruto and sighed. You still have a lot to learn before making assumptions, kid. Right now the Yuki is coursing through your system, enlarging your chakra system. Your transformation will occur soon, so you might want to find a nice empty field, the fox said. How long before I wake up? Naruto asked. Right about now, Kyuubi said. Real world. Hokage's office. Sarutobi Hiruzen, the third Hokage, nicknamed the Professor, and the god of shinobi, was being beaten by the most powerful enemy any cage could ever face, paperwork. Sometimes I wish I hadn't taken this job up again, stamping another form for a new genin who had been killed. Another young leaf falls from the tree, the aged shinobi sadly thought. He looked at the young boy whose clothes were torn and blood-stained a few hours ago were now replaced with a blue shirt with the hidden leaf symbol on the back, a pair of green shorts, and shinobi sandals. I wish you would wake up already, Naruto. As if on cue, Naruto opened his eyes and sat up to see the Hokage doing staring at him. Oi, Oji-san, what am I doing in your office? The Hokage stared at Naruto, looked around room and shook his head before responding. Ah, Naruto-kun, you are awake. You were out for a couple of hours. Now I must tell you, the Hokage was cut off. Maybe later, Oji-san, I have things to do, Naruto said before rush out of the office and the tower. I wonder, the cage said to himself. I wish something would get rid of this paperwork. The Hokage looked around and nothing happened. Damn, well it was worth a. At that moment a red boar jumped through the window, ate the paperwork, looked around the room, and jumped out of the window from whence it came. The Hokage stared at the remains of his paperwork before reaching into a secret compartment in his desk and pulling out a little orange book. Best not to look a gift horse in the mouth. With Naruto. Naruto sped off toward an abandoned training area, ignoring the glares because he did not care. Once he got there he felt pain in his whole body before his body began to convulse. He felt chakra rushing through him and let out a roar of pain. The chakra in his system was overloading him, making his body bulge. He felt as if he was being burned alive and felt like he was being stretched from the inside. To him it felt like hours had passed when it had only been 10 minutes. As soon as the pain came it went and he felt his body adjust to the chakra. He collapsed on the ground and slipped into unconsciousness. He woke up later with a sore throat, so he picked himself up, looked around noticing it was night, and trudged towards a lake he saw and drank from it. Ah, better, he said, then he caught his reflection in the lake. Where his ears used to be were two fox ears that were both blonde and ended in black tips. He felt something on his backside and saw it was a blonde tail that ended in a black tip. His hair was still blonde but a bit longer. His finger and toenails were now black claws and he seemed to be taller. He used to be short for an 8-year-old but now he seemed to the height of someone 2 years older than him. His face lost its baby fat and his body seemed to be a bit muscled. His eyes were still blue but now his pupil was now a slit and his whisker marks were more profound. This form is much better than my human form, Naruto said with awe in his voice. He could hear, see, smell, and think much more clearly. Of course kid, being turned into a Hanyu pretty much heightened and strengthened your body and mind. Basically it's an upgrade, Kyuubi said. Kyuubi, is that you? I can't see you anywhere, Naruto said looking around the clearing. Of course you can't, I am speaking to you through a mental link and don't talk to me, you can communicate through your thoughts, we don't need people thinking you're crazy. It would make it easy for those bastards to kill you, Kyuubi said. Right, this is pretty useful for the future, but there's one problem, how am I supposed to get around the village without being killed when I have 2 fox ears on top of my head and a tail sticking out of my ass? Naruto thought. I thought this might be a problem, so I tried to locate an item that would completely alter your body. Really, that sounds cool, let's go get it. We can't, I located it 600 feet underground. So what do we do now, Fox? I found the next best thing, it can hide you under an illusion. No one but powerful ninja or illusion specialist will be able to notice it and none can dispel it. Well, it's not as good as a complete body change, but it'll do. Alright, now let's go get that item I mentioned. I can lead you to it, but you're going to have to hide, Kyuubi said. Let's go, Naruto said, hopping into the trees, jumping through them with ease thanks to his new body. He traveled through the forest, avoiding any people he came across. He reached the south gate of Konoha. He observed the two guards on watch from behind a tree in the park across the gate. The item is on the other side of this wall near a shrine, Kyuubi said. How am I going to sneak by the guards, Fuzzy, Naruto thought while looking at the two Chunin who were guarding the gate. How about you think of an idea? Think of it as a test with high consequences, Kyuubi told his container. I really don't feel like thinking up of something. Alright, this'll be a piece of cake, Naruto told the fox while thinking up of an idea. What could I do? I could know I don't have anything to work with. Damn, what can I got it. Looking around the park he found two rocks. Sneaking over to the alley next to the park he found what he needed, a couple of pails. Luckily he was wearing a dark green shirt and blue pants, gifts from the nice ramen bar owner to blend in. Hiding behind a building next to the guard station he climbed up onto one of the ledges and made racket with the pails. Katetsu, what was that? Don't know, but you should probably check it out, Azumo. It's probably just a cat. Bang, that wasn't a cat, come on. It came from this alley, careful Katetsu. The Chunin guards entered the alley with kunai drawn and looked around. Bang, they turned to their left and saw a cat. HMPH, geez, and you got me all spooked out for that. I told you it was a cat. Sorry, but it could have been something more serious, Azumo said, not realizing how true his words were. At this point Naruto, who was standing on top of a ledge, sprung his trap. Banzai. The only thing the pair of unlucky Chunin saw was the bottom of their respective pail before it was slammed on their heads. With their heads covered, the Chunin ran around like chickens with their heads cut off, until they ran into the alley walls, knocking themselves out. Holding in his laughter at the scene, Naruto ran out the gates and headed to the shrine. It took a while. When he was close he found a path that had no been used in a long time, if all weeds and grass randomly popping out of the road was any clue. After walking down he found a shrine that had been burned down to nothing but black structures sticking out of the ground. There were also fox statues around the shrine, all broken or had graffiti on them. Those bastards! Look at what they did to Mistress Inari's shrine. The fox shouted in anger. Mistress Inari? Naruto asked. Before I became a devil I was a Zenko, a servant of Inari, like some foxes. We disagreed on something and she banished me. Kyuubi explained to the young boy. Wow, you worked for a goddess, cool. Yes, it was a grand experience. She cared for us and we in turn served her faithfully, replied the fox sadly. Naruto, while looking around the shrine, replied to the fox. Wow, you sound like you actually care for her. Yes, I loved her, we all loved her, her kindness was inhuman, to us she was all that mattered, the fox replied nostalgically. Was there anyone else you cared for? Naruto inquired. Yes, there was, but we're getting distracted, well. Let us find the mask. Shaking his head the fox closed his eyes trying to remember where the mask was located. Check one of the fox statues, the ones that aren't broken, the fox told the boy. That narrows it down a lot, Naruto remarked, seeing as there were 3 unbroken statues resting on pedestals. He stepped up to the first, which was scorched black, probably why it wasn't broken. He climbed on top of the statue as he was short and only reached the paws. So, what am I looking for? Reach into the mouth and there should be a switch, Kyuubi told his container. Naruto reached into the fox's mouth and dug around. He felt a small button on the back of the mouth and pressed. Naruto heard it click before pain erupted from his hand. He pulled his hand out to see that he was missing 3 fingers. A-U-G-H. U-U-U-U-U-A-A-G-H. F-U-U-U-U-U-U-U-U-U-U-C-K. Naruto kept screaming, clutching his bleeding hand. Well, more like 2-fingered stump. Then his fingers started to smoke and he looked at them, wide-eyed. His fingers were healing at a fast rate. He watched in morbid fascination as bone grew, making cracking sounds, then meat, blood, veins, and skin. Huff, huff, huff. What the fuck was that? He shouted at the fox. Well, that was your regeneration kicking in. It will activate automatic all. Kyuubi's explanation was cut off by the short boy's shouts. Not that. I mean the goddamn trap that bit my fucking fingers off, shouted Naruto. It was a trap, there's no more to it, came the nonchalant reply of the fox. Why the fuck didn't you tell me that could happen? Shouted an angered Naruto. It must have slipped my mind, the fox replied nonchalantly. Slipped your mind? Slipped your mind, fuck you. Slipped your mind my a. Yes, that's all good and nice but let's look for that mask, Kyuubi replied nonchalantly. Muttering something that sounded like, asshole fox, Naruto kept searching for the mask. The next fox statue was similar to the last but this time Naruto was cautious on any switches and levers that could activate any traps. He felt around the fox's mouth and felt a switch. Not wanting to take any risk he grabbed a stick, pushed the switch and pulled his hand out of the fox's mouth. This was the best thing he could have done since the fox head decided to explode sending cement everywhere. Some of the shrapnel hit Naruto hard enough to break skin. Son of a bitch. While Kyuubi was fixing his wounds Naruto decided to voice his comments. This is fucking bullshit. Even being careful I still get hurt. This mask better be worth it. Going to the third statue, Naruto decided to forego any caution just stuck his hand into the statue's mouth felt a button and pressed it. After a few seconds nothing happened, so he pressed it again, nothing happened, so he pressed it again, and again, and again, and again, and again. Ah. Screw this, and screw that mask, yelled Naruto punching the fox statue. When his fist connected to the statue it pressed a hidden panel which made the statue bend forward and hit him on the head. When the statue bent over a small compartment opened on the statue's pedestal revealing a mask. The mask looked completely different from the mask he had seen on the Anbu who chased him. It resembled a fox's head, the fox's lips were black like a regular fox. A black nose. The eyes were open but covered in the same material that made the mask, 2 white fox ears, and except for the black parts the mask was completely bone white. Picking himself up and rubbing his head Naruto walked over and picked up the mask, examining it. This is one weird-ass mask, said the boy to the fox looking at the eyes. How the hell are you supposed to look out of this thing? Just put it on, boy, Kyuubi said annoyed by the child's shouting. HMPH. Fine I will, Naruto said bringing the mask to his face, hesitating for a while, before putting it on. Well I can't see, this is great. I mean why not just whoa? This was the best word Naruto could use as he could now see out of the mask but his eyes seemed to be in the wrong places. He touched the eyes of the mask and saw that his fingers were touching his eyes but not hurting it. What the hell? Naruto then touched the top of his and found his ears were gone replaced by the 2 ears of the mask and his tail was gone as well. Well that's better but the way the mask looks will be more trouble. As soon as he said that the mask made cracking noises as it grew smaller and smaller until it was a white chip that started on his forehead and ended at the tip of his nose both ends were pointed. Well this will keep me from being murdered, does it do anything else? No it just hides you, that's it. Came the casual reply from the fox. What that's all it is, what a ripoff. The blonde boy huffed crossing his arms. It was meant to hide fox demons without illusions so hunters could not find them. The other item was a gauntlet that would have given you complete control of Earth, and sped up your training by giving 3 times the results in half the time. Oh well you're doing things the hard way. You sure know how to brighten up someone's day, sarcasm dripping from every word. You know what, it's fine with me doing it the hard way. Everything else in life has been a bitch for me, and I will become stronger for it. So when do we get started? Ha 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 ha, you've got spirit well, said the grinning fox, by the way you're going to bleed a lot. Fine with me. Konoha Academy one day before graduation exam. Tasuki, Emi. Here, Uchiha, Sasuke. Here, Uzumaki, Naruto. Uzumaki, Naruto. Uzumaki, Naruto. Ha-oh here sensei. Came the sleepy reply of a blonde-haired teen. Damn Kyuubi did we have to run those drill all night, the blonde container said to the demon as Iruka finished the roll call. Yes, your strength is lacking a bit and I do not tolerate weakness, whelp. Right, Naruto had the same sentiments towards weakness. It was an excuse for cowards to not get stronger. Indeed Naruto was no longer a weakling, now standing at 5'4" he had grown indeed, looking to be 16 instead of 14. He now wore a tight dark gray-blue leather vest with a sleeveless black undershirt and dark blue pants. The white chip of the mask was still on his face which had lost all baby fat making him look more mature. His hair had grown out as well making him look like feral. He also wore an orange armband on his bicep. He also had muscular build that was a bit on the athletic side. However, he always wore a cloak, so nobody has ever seen this and no one cared enough to ask about it. Tomorrow is the graduation exam. I hope you have been practicing or you will fail. Yay, because it's so hard to 3D rank just you, Naruto thought sarcastically to himself. He looked around to see who might actually pass the test. Sasuke Uchiha would pass the test for sure. There was also the boy in the gray coat, black pants, and puppy on his head, Kiba Inuzuka. Shino Aburame, the emotionless bug user, would also pass easily. The cold Hyuga heir Hinata would also pass the test easily. He prayed for whatever unlucky bastard was on her team. Ino Yamanaka would also pass despite her infatuation with Sasuke. The lazy bum Shikamaru Nara would pass if what Naruto heard about the Nara clan was true. Choji Akamichi would also pass, being having pretty average scores. The only other person he would even consider to be surviving shinobi were Sakura Haruno for her intelligence. The rest would either die on the field or not pass. Now we will be running through the justice one more time today, followed by review of the history of Konoha. Iruka said, much to the class's disappointment. Naruto sat atop the Shoden's head looking over the village. He was contemplating what he should do after the exams. He knew he would be making a run out of the village for more bounties and see if he could find out where he could be. As he was thinking of how to sneak out of the village, and wind blew a leaf into his palm. The leaf stayed there until it turned to dust. His eyes widened a bit as he stared at his hands. Life had dealt him too many shit cards and he had seen too many weird things to know that he should never ignore an omen. Something big is going to happen, Naruto said, then he smirked. Good, it was starting to get boring around here. That fucking piece of trash, shouted Naruto in his head, his face an expression of cold fury. He was behind a tree watching the situation unfold before him. It turned out Mizuki messed with a student's test to get her to fail on purpose. Mizuki was happy his plan was coming together and the kid he chose to be a patsy was filling the role perfectly. The one he had chosen was Sakura Haruno. While the girl was book smart, she had the worst physical scores in class. He had her fail her physical test, then preyed on her weakness to be with Sasuke. She must have lucked out to be able to have gotten the forbidden scroll. Oh well, never look a gift horse in the mouth. Naruto had been training out in the woods near a shack when he felt a weak chakra signature coming towards him. He promptly hid in a tree, and put on his cloak to see who it was. He was surprised to see Sakura holding the forbidden scroll. He was about to investigate when Mizuki came into the clearing and told Sakura she had done well in her exam test. It all clicked in Naruto's mind what had gone on. So Mizuki-sensei, I passed right? Sakura asked hopefully. Yes, you did, Sakura, now here is your reward, Mizuki said as he slugged her in the face. Naruto watched as Sakura flew back clutching the scroll. You stupid little girl, did you really think this was a test? Kukuku, now you're going to die. As he said this, Mizuki pulled off a giant shuriken and threw it at Sakura. The pink-haired girl could not move. Shock and fear gripped her. No, I don't want to die, anyone save me, please. As if heaven had heard her, the shuriken was stopped by a hand. Sakura opened her eyes and saw blonde hair, whiskers, and blue eyes looking at her. Sakura-san, are you okay? Questioned Naruto. A nod was the reply he received. Good. What are you doing here, demon? Mizuki exclaimed as he realized who it was. Me? Just doing what a good guy does. Save the damsel and murder the bad guy, and you were trying to steal an important item, Naruto said with a devious smirk. Huh, you think you can kill me, you reject? Go ahead and try, you be dead before you get close, said the traitorous Chunin. I'll take that invitation, Naruto said as he removed his cloak and rushed the Chunin. Mizuki smirked as he saw how fast Naruto was going, easy for him to keep up. When Naruto got into range, Mizuki lashed out with a vicious right hook, wanting to end it quickly. His fist did not connect as Naruto dodged and moved in closely with increased speed. Sparks ignited on Naruto's palm as he rammed it into the Chunin's chest. When it connected, there was an explosion and Mizuki's clothes and chest were severely burned. You fucking demon, I kill you. Mizuki pushed aside the pain, all his anger focused on the smug genin in front of him. He pulled the last shuriken of his back and flung it with all his strength. It was all in vain as Naruto dodged the blade and blurred from existence. He reappeared in front of Mizuki and delivered a brutal haymaker that knocked Mizuki flying backwards. "Not done yet," shouted Naruto as he followed Mizuki, grabbed his head and smashed it into the ground holding his head. "Now I'm done." Blast palm. Then Mizuki's head exploded, the blood staining the ground and pieces of charred bone spread on the ground, the corpse's neck still smoking. Naruto huffed in annoyance at the lack of a challenge and turned to Sakura. Sakura looked on in shock as the dead last of the class defeat her former sensei with brutal efficiency. While she could do nothing but wait to die, but Naruto saved her. Hey Sakura, huh, what?" the girl said, coming out of her trance looking up at him. "Are you alright? You look pale." Naruto asked, concerned for her. "No, I'm fine, just shaken up," Sakura said as what had happened started to catch up to her. "Good, now we have to contact the village and, thank you Naruto," she shouted as she latched onto the boy's waist. Naruto was shocked, but then he remembered that Sakura was new to death, her close brush with it causing this reaction. He looked down to see her crying, saying thank you over and over again. He got on his knee and rubbed her back, trying to comfort her, not sure what else he could do. "Sakura, it's all right, you're safe. We have to get the scroll back, do you understand?" Naruto said as the poor girl just nodded. Naruto nodded in relief, they might be able to handle this easily. Then he felt the presence of the Anbu in the trees above them. "Crap, you are under arrest for crimes against Konoha," one of the masked ninja said, his ninjutsu already out. Guys, this is a misunderstanding, this traitor here." Naruto pointed at Mizuki's corpse, "tricked Haruno's Sakura here to steal the forbidden scroll over there." Naruto finished pointing at the forgotten scroll. "You think we believe that? You must." "Anbu, stand down," came an elderly voice. The Anbu turned and saw their Hokage approaching them wearing his robes. They quickly kneeled before him. "They speak the truth, I saw it all. Mizuki betrayed us, dispose of the body. You two come with me, we must talk, and bring the scroll." "Hi, Hokage-sama," was the response from everyone except Naruto, who just nodded his head. They followed the Hokage all the way to the Hokage Tower. The entire way there Sakura did not let go of Naruto, she was traumatized from the events of the night. Naruto looked down at and smiled sadly. He understood what she was going through. Many people he thought he could trust hurt him when he was a boy. It did a number on your mind. They walked into the Sandame's office. He told his secretary to call off the hunt because it was taken care of. "Now Miss Haruno, explain yourself and what happened tonight." Sakura nodded and proceeded to explain. "I had failed my physical exam portion when something pulled my leg as I was running, thought the course, and held me down. Mizuki Teme said if tripping took me out of a fight, I wasn't ready to be a kunoichi. After class he came up to me and said I could still pass if I came and stole that scroll as a fake infiltration mission. I came here and took the scroll and went to the designated area where he tried to kill me. Then Naruto came along and saved and killed Mizuki with a fire, just you. I saw the fight. Good thing for you Naruto trains out there or you would be dead. I will excuse you actions for you were manipulated by Mizuki and I suspect he kept you from passing, so here." The Hokage reached into his robes and pulled out a headband with the metal leaf plate on it. "Thank you Hokage-sama. You're welcome, make sure you attend team assignments." Dismissed. The two teens saluted and walked out of the office. As they were walking, Sakura kept sticking close to Naruto and following him. "Sakura, not that I mind being followed by a pretty girl, but shouldn't you get home?" "Oh yeah, I just wanted to hang around you longer because no one's home. My mom is a medic, so she's always at the hospital," she said, looking down. Naruto looked at and sighed. He spotted a bench and pulled Sakura to the bench and sit down. "Listen, I know how you feel about what Mizuki did. You trusted him and he tried to kill you. I know the feeling. You have to get over it. Thinking about it will only mess with your head," Naruto explained, looking at her. She was shocked that people he trusted would try and kill him. He was right though, it was creating trouble in her mind. She didn't know what to think now. Who could she trust? No one. What if they tried to kill me like Mizuki? She had no one, and these thoughts were making it hard to breathe. She was starting to hyperventilate, her mind racing at every possible person she trusted and turning them into possible traitors who could and kill her. Her vision started to blur. Someone grabbed her hand. Sakura. Her vision started coming back and she saw Naruto. Naruto saved her so she could trust him. He wouldn't harm her at all. Yes, that made sense. You're right, that is how I feel, but I also feel weak. I could do nothing against him, but you beat him, Naruto. If I can't defeat, can't even fight, someone who tried to kill me, then I must not be cut out to be a kunoichi, Sakura said, looking down, wallowing in self-pity. Naruto wrote something down on a piece of paper. Here, meet me at this location in 2 days and I'll help you get stronger. She looked at him and then at the paper, then hugged him. Thank you, I'll be there. Naruto smiled at her. No problem, a pretty girl like you, it would be a pleasure. She blushed as he complimented her and looked away. Goodbye, I'll see you there. She turned around and left as quickly as she could. Tomoko-chan is going to be upset. Night, Resort Village. A few hours after his talk with Sakura, Naruto was running through the forest of Fire Country after slipping past the shinobi guards. Honestly, they have to beef up security in their village before someone takes advantage of it. He was heading to a small village in the south to meet with 2 important people. He also needed to relax and celebrate before starting his ninja duties. What better way than to get smashed at one of the local bars? After 2 more hours of hopping through trees, he finally came to the village. It was a resort village that was famous for the food and entertainment. Naruto quickly headed to a hotel, checked in, left his stuff, and went to one of the bars. Naruto activated his fox mask to hide him under an illusion, couldn't have anyone know about his escapades. Hey chief, give me some strong sake, Naruto said, grinning to the man. You got it, mate, the bartender, a portly man with big muscles from doing who knows what. Ah, that hits the spot, Naruto said as the bartender proceeded to take a sake bottle out of nowhere and poured some strong liquor in his cup. Naruto grabbed the cup and drank it down easy. Naruto let out a sigh as he felt the familiar burn of alcohol. He called for another with a grin on his face. Rounds for everybody on me, Naruto said, making all the patrons cheer. An hour later, Naruto was completely ruined along with most of the people in the bar. A girl was on top of a table dancing, everyone cheering her on. Naruto was having a good time until a skinny man bumped into a large man who shoved him into another man, who swung at the man, missed and hit a bald man, whose friend punched the attacker. This led to more shoving and punching until the entire bar was involved. People were flying everywhere, bottles were being broken, and Naruto was knocking people out. Naruto picked up a chair and smashed against a man's head. He would be having fun tonight. Same village, 10 o'clock a.m. next day. A 16-year-old girl with black hair in a ponytail and an eye patch over her right eye walked into the hotel where Naruto was currently staying. She asked the receptionist if a young man with blonde hair and blue eyes was here. The receptionist said he wasn't, pointed her in the right direction. The girl wore a dark blue battle kimono with a green sash, black ninja sandals, shin and forearm bracers, and a small necklace with a red jewel on it. Her visible eye was black. I wonder what Master is up to. You think Aniki will give Mei-chan a sweet? Asked a small 8-year-old girl. This girl had dark green hair in a braid, 2 strands of hair falling in front of her face. Her eyes were yellow. And she wore a gray scarf around her neck, a purple short-sleeved shirt, wristbands, black pants, and black sandals. I'm sure you will, Mei-chan. They went to his room and let themselves in and looked around the room and found no one. The one-eyed girl opened the bedroom door and saw her master on the futon, in his underwear, a small sheet barely thrown aside. She blushed as she walked to the futon and nudged the man with her foot. Naruto just readjusted himself, mumbling, "Come on, beautiful, I got something you can play with." This caused Tomoko to blush even deeper, both in anger and embarrassment, as his soldier stood at attention. The girl moved to the other side of the futon, reared her leg back and kicked her master. Her leg, however, was caught, which caused her to lose her balance and yell as she fell on her butt. Naruto yawned as he sat up. "Ah, Tomoko-chan, I'm glad you could come, I missed you." "You sure don't seem like you missed me, Naruto-sama. You seemed happy with whatever you were dreaming," she retorted with a glare. At that moment, Naruto noticed the tent he was pitching. "Sorry about that," Naruto said as he stood up and looked for his and pants. Tomoko blushed a dark red, her heart beating erratically. His state of dress was not helping either. Her eyes tracing his muscular body up and down until his voice caught his attention. "See something you like, Tomoko-chan," he said as he pulled on his pants. Tomoko's mind took a while to process his words to her and the situation. "Master," the embarrassed girl yelled as she picked up the nearest object, a sake bottle, and threw it at him. Naruto dodged the bottle and the other objects that seemed to come from nowhere. Sorry, Naruto said, holding his hands in a placating manner. The girl, still angry but calmer, just pouted and turned her head to the side. I'm sorry, forgive me, Naruto said, popping his fox ears out and giving the puppy dog eyes. She looked at him, turned to the side and nodded while blushing. Great, go to the living room and I'll be out in a minute. The girl nodded and left the room. A few minutes later Naruto came out of the room in a tight white shirt and normal blue pants. Aniki! Shouted Mei, who jumped into Naruto's arms. Hey Mei-chan, I missed you. Aniki, did you make Mei-chan a sweet? The little girl said, staring at him. Naruto smiled and reached into the supply kit on his waist. He pulled out a cookie and gave it the girl, who cheered and started nibbling on it. Naruto put her down and patted her head, and then he turned to Tomoko and pulled out a rice ball. Here, I made you something as well. I know how much you like them. Master, thank you, said Tomoko as she got up and walked over to him. She, however, tripped on her feet and fell forward. Naruto caught her before she fell, still clumsy as ever. Naruto smiled at her as he helped her to her feet and handed her the rice ball. She bit into it and smiled. Kelp, my favorite, thank you master. I'm glad you're happy. I have to leave in 2 days back to the village, Naruto said, saying the last part quickly, then sitting on the couch. What, but Aniki promised to be with us 2 weeks. Mei shouted as she stopped eating her treat. Tomoko kept silent but stopped eating her rice ball. I know Mei-chan, but I promised to help a girl out in the village with training, Naruto said. A girl? I should have guessed, just go right now. Tomoko said, upset that her master wanted some whore from the leaf. I don't know why you even came here. I came here because you two are important to me, but this girl needs my help, Naruto said, staring at her. Then his eyes softened. Listen, there's a festival in this village tomorrow. I was planning on have some fun before we went bounty hunting. A festival? Mei asked, eyes alight with curiosity. Yeah, and I am taking you two to it, Naruto said happily. Did you hear that Tomoko Oni-chan a festival and Aniki is taking us? Mei cheered. Tomoko was still upset he had to leave, but she saw Naruto pleading with her. I guess that would be fine, but we don't even have appropriate clothes, Tomoko said, pointing herself and Mei. I guess I'll just have to take you two shopping, Naruto said with his head down like any guy who was about to go shopping. Shopping district. Naruto was walking through the streets with Tomoko and Mei behind him. Most of the young girls they passed by on the streets sent glances at Naruto, who smiled back. This pissed Tomoko off to no end, and Mei was too busy with her cookie. Here, this looks like the place the receptionist spoke about, Naruto said. They entered the building and Tomoko started helping out Mei choose a kimono. Naruto sat down on a chair as he knew this would take a while. An hour later Mei had a yukata. It was a dark forest green with pink petals on the bottom of the dress. Naruto was sitting on the chair, sending looks at the cashier girl, as Tomoko came out of the dressing room. How'd I look, master? Tomoko asked, her hands held in front of her. Naruto turned to look at her and his eyes widened. Tomoko was wearing a dark blue yukata with falling green leaves and a white moon on the chest. Tomoko did a small twirl and Naruto saw that there was a white nightingale on a black branch on her back. You look beautiful, Tomoko, Naruto said in an odd voice. Tomoko blushed seeing the reaction she got from her master and happy that she could make him like that. Master thinks I'm beautiful, maybe I am good enough for him. Yes, despite how her master flirted with other girls and teased her, she wished he really felt for her like she did for him. Tomoko walked up to Naruto and closed his mouth. This caused Naruto to scratch the back of his head, grinning sheepishly. Listen, I also chose this place because there is a contact I have to meet here, Naruto told them. The girl nodded and changed back to their regular clothes. Naruto then walked them back to their homes, smiling at some of the girls who looked at him, not noticing the scowl on Tomoko's face. The festival starts when it gets dark, so get some lunch and take in the sights for a while I go and take of the business, Naruto said to Tomoko, who nodded, and Mei, who smiled at him. You'll meet up with us later, right, Aniki? Naruto just nodded at Mei's question. Well Mei, let's go find something to eat. Bar. Red light district. The white chip on his nose stretched out like roots until they completely covered the bottom half of his face and turned his hair black. He looked around until he found what he was looking for. Naruto walked into a bar where the smell of smoke and alcohol was thick, spotting his informant. A skinny man with brown hair and beady eyes wearing drab clothes saw Naruto approach and sat up. "Hey there ol' mate, been wonderin' when you would get air. Sorry to keep you waiting now, what can you tell me?" Naruto said seriously. "Straight to the point, Well, if you must know, the target will be passin' through the leaf in 2 months before he goes away again to who knows where. Hope you catch him," the man said, taking a swing of his drink. "Is that all, Weasel? As matter o' fact it ain't. There been rumor 'bout the same fellow, that he be killing people, something 'bout collectin' debts, for death, whatever the hell that means," the man said, now staring at a scantily clad waitress. Naruto's grip tightened, his claws digging into his, making him bleed. "Shit, already, though I would have more time. I know what he means and thanks for the info, here." He pulled out a small bag and threw it on the table. The man smiled as he picked up the bag, smiling as it jingled. Naruto got up and left. He killed about an hour on this little excursion, so he went to go find his friends. "Better get something to eat first," said Naruto as he spotted a ramen stand. Nightfall. Same town. Naruto decided to look around town instead of looking for the girls. When night fell, he headed back to the hotel to change. When he got there, the girls had not arrived, so he showered and went to his room to grab his clothes. While he was in his room, Tomoko and Mei arrived and did not hear him. "Who knew this hotel had a hot spring that was great?" Tomoko said to Mei as walked into the room. "Yeah, it was Tomoko Ne-chan," the young girl replied enthusiastically. "Let me grab our clothes, then we can change and wait for master," the black-haired girl said, going into Naruto's room where she left their bag. Naruto had just dropped his towel when the door swung open. Tomoko walked into the room and her eyes landed on Naruto, completely naked. She had seen her master without a shirt when she dressed his wounds, but she was not prepared for this. Her master's body was muscular, more so than an average shinobi. She memorized everything and her eyes pooped out when she saw the goods. She was a girl of 16 with a healthy libido, and seeing a nude male who she was attracted to elicited a common response. Tomoko was rocketed out the door by a nosebleed, a huge smile on her face. A few minutes later, Tomoko started coming to. "Ne-chan. Ne-chan, wake up. Come on, wake up." Tomoko opened her eyes to see Mei looking down on her. She sat up and looked around. "What happened?" "Nothing much," Naruto said as he came out of the room dressed in a dark red short-sleeved dress shirt unbuttoned at the top, black pants without his shirt tucked in. "You walked in on me though." Tomoko hears what he says and blushes, recalling what she saw. "We should get dressed. Come on, Mei-chan," Tomoko said quickly and grabbed the little girl's hand and ran into the room. They came out a while later in their yakutas. "Let's go," Naruto said, grinning. The night was going enjoyably so far. Mei enjoyed the games, Tomoko and Naruto played some as well, and the food was delicious. There were a few incidents when a teen girl would come up and flirt with Naruto, at which point Tomoko would latch onto his arm and glare at the girl. "Thanks for keeping them of Tomoko-chan. I want this night to be about you and Mei-chan," Naruto told her after the last incident. Tomoko nodded her head as she watched Mei try and catch a small goldfish. "Of course, master, I also enjoy our time together," Tomoko said, staring into his eyes. "You mean a lot to me, Tomoko," Naruto said, a small gentle smile gracing his face. He stared into her black eye and she stared into his blue ones. Their faces started moving closer together. Tomoko closed her eyes. She could feel Naruto's warm breath on her lips. Naruto's own eyes were half-lidded and he moved down to kiss her. "Aniki, look." The boy and girl stepped back in surprise of the voice that interrupted their situation. Naruto looked sewn at Mei as she held up a larger-than-average goldfish. "Wow, Mei-chan, you caught that." The girl shook her head up and down. Naruto ruffled her hair and grabbed her arm. He looked at Tomoko, who saw an unknown emotion pass through his eyes. "Come on, the fireworks are about to start, let's head up to a spot I found." Naruto led them up to a hill with a cherry tree already in bloom. They sat and waited for the fireworks to start. "So master, how did your meeting go?" Tomoko asked, looking at Naruto. "It went well, I got what I was looking for," Naruto said, looking at the fireworks. "I'm glad I came." "So am I," Tomoko said, slipping her hand into his. Naruto looked down at their hands and then at her, smiled, and turned to look back at the fireworks. His hand gripped hers and she smiled, laying her head on his shoulder. Both were content to be with the other under the star-filled sky. "I want Aniki to stay." Naruto sighed as he looked down at a teary-eyed Mei clutching his shirt. Mei-chan, I have to go. I'm sorry, Naruto said, which made Mei actually cry and clutch his shirt harder. Mei-chan, let go. The little girl shook her head. Naruto grabbed her hands and pried them of her shirt. Come on kid, don't cry. Listen, you'll see me again, don't worry. You and Tomoko here are going to come to Konoha in a month's time, Naruto told the little girl, who was still teary-eyed and hiccuping. Plus, I'll make you your favorite dessert as soon as we meet up again. The little girl's tears stopped, but she was still sad. Promise? She asked, looking into his eyes. Promise, Naruto replied, and the little girl nodded. Naruto smiled at the little girl and turned to look at Tomoko. Tomoko-chan, always a pleasure to see you, Naruto said to her. Tomoko walked up and hugged him. Be safe, master. Aren't I always, Naruto said, smiling at her, to which she rolled her eyes. Naruto turned and walked down the opposite path of the road, and Tomoko and Mei went the other way. It was morning and he had just gotten back into the village using his fox mask to disguise him as a rat and just stroll on in. Naruto was back at the training area that he had asked Sakura to come to. The blonde ninja was running through his morning exercise routine. As Naruto finished stretching, he saw Sakura walking into the training grounds. You're right on time. Good, I hate tardiness, Naruto said to the girl. Well, fist things first, stretch then 10 laps around the field. Sakura nodded and proceeded to stretch then run. 30 minutes later she came back breathing heavily. Naruto handed her water, which she drank, then he gave her a kunai. You're lacking in stamina. Let's see what you can do. Attack me, Naruto said as he got into a defensive stance. What, are you sure? Sakura asked. Yes, now come at me. Taijutsu fight only. Sakura hesitantly nodded, then rushed him and thrust her kunai forward. He grabbed her and flipped her over his shoulder. She rolled, recovered, and sent a right jab at him. He dodged, and avoided another left jab. Sakura slashed with her kunai, then delivered a left spin kick. Both were dodged. Using the momentum, the girl sent a right snap kick at his face. Naruto caught her foot, then swept her other foot from under her. Sakura fell on her back and rolled to the side as Naruto's foot connected to the ground where her head was. Naruto then went on the offensive, sending a snap kick at Sakura's chest. The girl blocked but was sent sprawling from the force. She got up and barely dodged a right cross from Naruto. Naruto followed up with a jab, which connected, then another, then a palm thrust to her midsection, knocking her back. Naruto grabbed her before she got out of reach and rammed his knee into her stomach. Sakura coughed up spit and collapsed onto her knees, holding her stomach. Naruto stopped and helped her up. He set her against a tree so she could recover. He also pulled out a band-aid and placed it on the cut from his second jab. Well, you aren't a lost cause, but you're not adequate, by my standards anyway, Naruto said as Sakura was still holding her stomach and breathing hard. If you want me to help you, there's going to be a lot more pain, a lot more bleeding, and bone breaking, so what's your answer? He asked, looking at her. She looked up at him. The supposed dead last had just decimated her with minimal effort. Was she that weak that she wasn't worth the effort? Yes, please help me, Sakura said to him. Good, now no time like the present, so here's your first lesson, Naruto said as he helped her up. What is it? Sakura asked, to which Naruto smiled. Look out, Sakura, he said, pointing behind her. Sakura turned around. As she did, Naruto kicked her in the back, knocking her to the ground. She turned to shout at Naruto, but the words died in her throat as a shuriken embedded itself next to her head. She looked at Naruto, who had a serious expression on his face. Your first lesson: deception is a shinobi's best friend and worst enemy. What? Sakura asked. Deception, it's what we shinobi are trained in, don't forget that. Make the enemy think you're weak, then strike when he thinks you lost. Make them think there's any army when it's just you. Understand? Naruto asked. Sakura nodded as she was helped up, again, by Naruto. Good. It's still early, so well, keep training and break for lunch at noon, alright? Naruto told her. It was at this point that Sakura's stomach grumbled, which caused her to be embarrassed and Naruto to look at her quizzically. You did eat breakfast, right? Well, I'm on a diet, so no, Sakura said, then rubbed her forehead as Naruto flicked it. Ow, what was that for? 1. Pain is a great way to remember mistakes. 2. You should forget about diets as you'll need all your strength. Got it? Naruto said seriously to get his point across. Yes, Naruto, Sakura said, his message going in one ear and out the other. So should I get something to eat? No, we're going to keep training. Today I'll teach you a chakra exercise and why you should eat. Naruto said, a sadistic smile appear at Sakura's shocked expression. Now you'll be learning the tree walking exercise, Naruto said as he went on, that you needed to gather chakra at the soles in your feet to stick to the tree, and how too much would blow you off and too little would make you fall off. After he finished his explanation, he told her to practice the technique, and to his surprise she got it on the first try. Sakura came down smirking that she got it down so fast. You made it sound harder, Naruto. Naruto had a smile on his face that made Sakura nervous. You only learned it quickly because your reserves are so low, which made her frown. And who told you to stop? Keep running until you run out of chakra. It'll expand your reserves and give you a good workout. Two birds with one stone. As Sakura was continuing the exercise, Naruto was having a conversation with the fox. So in 2 months we'll finally find out where your comrade's killer is hiding. Yes, the department collector will be able to tell us where that murderer is. Then when we find that bastard Shiken, give me control so I can tear his skull out and beat him to death with it, Kyuubi said, an insane look in his eyes. That doesn't seem physically possible, Naruto thought to himself. Anyway, who is this debt collector? Demons, the strong ones, make a deal with the Shikigami when they're on death's doorstep, Kyuubi said to Naruto. What kind of deal? Naruto asked curiously. They give the death god half of their soul and another soul as payment in exchange for a time extension on their life, Kyuubi said to the young man whose eyes widened in shock. They cheat death, doesn't that break some law of nature? Naruto asked, wondering if the laws of nature even existed or if it was all made up. No, the Shikigami still gets a soul, so he doesn't care, Kyuubi told Naruto nonchalantly. However, it's a one-time thing and they only get a few years. Some try to run, and since the Shikigami can't keep coming down to the mortal planes, he sends his debt collectors to make sure the other side keeps up their end of the bargain. I know Shiken must have made a deal. I should killed him instead of leaving him for dead. Why do you think the debt collector is coming here? There aren't any demons around here, Naruto said, contemplating why the debt collector would be coming to Konoha. The demon, if there is one, could be hiding in the village. It is enormous, the fox said, putting in his 2 cents. Whatever the reason, how is the debt collector going to tell us where Shiken is? Naruto said to the demon, who nodded his head in agreement. We will discuss that later. You should check up on the girl, Kyuubi said, cutting the link. Standing up, Naruto looked at Sakura to see her resting on a branch, covered in sweat. Wondering how long he was out, he looked up at the sun to see it was almost noon. Took longer than I thought it did, Naruto said to himself. Hey Sakura, come down. Sakura jumped down from the tree, then collapsed, panting. Can we go eat? I don't think you could make it. Here, have this, said Naruto, handing her a bento. Sakura looked at it like it someone just handed her gold. She tore it open and proceeded to scarf down the contents. Slow down or you'll throw up, Naruto said, smiling as she nodded her head and slowed down. Naruto pulled out his own bento and started eating. Where did you buy these lunches from? They're pretty good, she asked between bites. Actually, I made them myself, said Naruto, surprising her. Never being able to trust the cooks at restraints, Naruto taught himself to cook using cookbooks and ingredients he had stolen from stores and restaurants. He used to feel guilty until he met with Kyuubi and now saw stealing from villagers as them making reparations. Really? Sakura asked, wondering where he learned to cook. Yeah, I never actually had anyone there for me, so I had to learn how to cook for myself. My house smelled like burnt food for a long time while I learned how to cook, Naruto said, scrunching his nose, remembering the smell he had to deal with. Sakura giggled at the face he made. So how about you, or does your mom cook for you? Naruto asked. Sakura stopped eating and looked down. My mother is never really around the house. She's a medic ninja, so she's always at the hospital. She had a friend teach me to cook so she didn't have to worry about me. Oh, what about your dad? What line of work is he in? Naruto asked, only to regret as he saw a sad look on her face. He died when his squad was ambushed on a mission, she replied, looking away from him. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, but he was cut off. It's okay, it happened when I was 4. I don't even remember him, she said, doing a bad job of covering up her emotions. Naruto knew it wasn't his place to say anything, so he remained quiet as they finished their lunch. So what's next? Sakura asked Naruto, who pulled out a scroll. Since you're probably still tired, we take this time to make a training schedule, he said, unfurling the scroll. So what exactly do you want to work on? So, Naruto and Sakura spent half an hour working on a schedule. They talked about what she wanted to work on, what she needed to work on, and things Naruto thought would help. Here's what it looked like. 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock warm-up and physical training. 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock meditation and chakra training. 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock practice sparring. 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock weapon practice. 11 o'clock to 12 o'clock simulation session. 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock lunch and relaxation. 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock civilian skills training. 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock ninjutsu training. 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock taijutsu training. 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock genjutsu training. 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock personal projects. That's your schedule, Naruto said as Sakura looked it over. She raised an eyebrow at the civilian training. Hey, Naruto, what's civilian training? Basically it's learning civilian skills: cooking, sewing, carpeting, entertainment, hunting and skinning animals, and botany, Naruto said, listing the various skills as Sakura's eyes widened. Why on earth would I need to learn all that? Sakura asked, wonder how those would make her a better ninja. For one, they are use skills to have. Secondly, they make it easier to go blend in or gather information. Third, you never know when these skills might come in handy. He finished and waited for her input. Oh, I get, like sewing could be used to sew up wounds, or cooking to gather information at bars and restaurants, she said enthusiastically, realizing that those skills would be a big help. You hit the nail right on the head, Naruto told her, then continued, since it's one, we might as well start on this schedule. Well, I already know how to cook, and since we're out here you should teach me to hunt animals, Sakura said, getting a curious look from Naruto. What? Well, I thought you would pick something girly, like sewing, Naruto replied, earning a glare from Sakura. Hey, I can learn whatever I want, got it, Sakura said, crossing her arms. Yes ma'am, said Naruto, giving a mock salute which made Sakura roll her eyes. Come, we're wasting time, Sakura said, grabbing his hand and pulling him up. Lead the way, sensei. Naruto raised an eyebrow but didn't comment and walked into the woods. For an hour he taught Sakura how to track animals. He taught her that she had to be observant. What to do when she found track, to take into account the environment, what marks on the ground and trees meant, what smells meant, and to not assume anything because it would cause her to make mistakes. Naruto told her that all these things could be applied to tracking ninja or targets. When they found a boar, he taught how to sneak up on it. Okay Sakura, pull out some kunai and throw it from here, Naruto whispered to her. She hesitantly nodded and pulled out some knives. Rearing her arm back, she took aim, and threw her knives. Thunk! The knives struck the boar in its side, one going through its eye into its brain. They both went up to the boar. Nice kill, Sakura, right into the brain, Naruto said, pulling out the knives, handing them back to her. She took them, wiping the blood off, and placing them into her pouch. Naruto took out a large hunting knife and showed Sakura how to skin a boar. He showed what to take from it. Sakura was a bit sick from seeing Naruto open the carcass, pointing out what could be eaten. I could have gone a long time not seeing that, she said, looking green. Hour later, how do people not throw up at the smell? Sakura asked, still looking a little green. You'll get used to it, seeing lots of blood is part of being a ninja, he told her. Now time to work on your taijutsu. So we're going to work on the academy style? Sakura asked Naruto. Well, that's the problem, I don't know the academy style, but I can teach you my fighting style, Naruto said, scratching the back of his head. Yeah, I would like to learn your style, Sakura said, genuinely excited about learning his fighting style. Alright, this style is broken into 3 areas: dodging, redirection, and brawling, Naruto said. I understand dodging, but what about redirection and brawling? Sakura asked curiously. Listen, you're going to be hit eventually, so learning how to take a hit, redirect the energy from the attack would leave the opponent open. And brawlers hit anything anyway, they take ever opening they can to just land a hit. Naruto explained to her, then took out some kunai. What are those for, Naruto-sensei? Sakura said nervously. A sadistic grin spread across his face. I'm going to teach you how to dodge, Sakura-chan. Hour later. You're insane, Sakura said, panting on the ground, a few cuts on her arms and legs, her red dress cut up as well. Oh come on, wasn't that bad, was it? I missed most of the time and you're pretty fast when motivated properly, Naruto said, smiling as he twirled a kunai on his finger. Naruto sat there waiting for her to catch her breath and get up. 15 minutes later, Sakura got up. Okay, I'm ready for the next part. Good at time to practice ninjutsu, what do you know? Naruto asked. I know clone jutsu, substitution jutsu, and transformation jutsu, she told him, to which he nodded. He didn't expect her to know any more than the academy techniques. You're going to practice those 3 techniques until they're second nature. It'll reduce how much chakra you use for those techniques, he told her. She started making hand signs, activating the clone jutsu, then the substitution jutsu. Finally she used the transformation jutsu. Again, Naruto said, and this is how they passed the hour. Hour later. All right Sakura, stop, can't have your levels get too low, Naruto said as she stopped making hand signs and took a break. I have never been this tired, Sakura said, panting, her hand on her knees. It feels kind of good. You're going to be feeling a lot more of that in the future, Sakura, Naruto told her, pulling out a scroll and tossing it to her. I suck at genjutsu, but here's a scroll on some beginner level techniques and a stronger one. You'll have to work on them on your own, because I suck at genjutsu. Sakura looked a little surprised that he couldn't help her. I can however teach you how to break out of them. Your focus today will be learning genjutsu. I teach what I know tomorrow and alternate between the two until you have it down. I understand, Naruto-sensei, Sakura said, and opened the scroll and proceeded to read. Naruto decided not to waste this time and started to work on his own project. Sitting in a cross position, he started to focus his fire elemental chakra into his hands. His hands began to turn red. Heat waves could be seen coming from them. He increased the amount of chakra every 10 minutes. At the 30-minute mark his hands began to burn and he cut off the chakra. Still can't go past the 30-minute mark, better start on wind, he thought to himself. Hey Naruto-sensei, what was that? Sakura asked, raising an eyebrow as she looked at his hands. Don't worry about that. And why aren't you practicing your genjutsu? Naruto asked, crossing his arms, giving her a stern look. Oh, sorry, I just got distracted by what you were doing with your hands, she said, but really what was that? That's not important right now, get back to your genjutsu training, he told her sternly. Sakura huffed but went back to her training, a little ticked off he wouldn't tell her. Why would he not trust her? He saved her life, she trusted him, why couldn't it be the other way around? She looked at the scroll that contained 3 techniques. The first was genjutsu, surrounding echo, the second was Megan, hell viewing technique, and the final one was Megan, nightmare forest. The first jutsu, C rank, was used to confuse the enemies for an ambush, throwing your voice so they won't know where you're attacking from. That is the only purpose it serves, and it takes more chakra for multiple targets. The second jutsu, C rank, showed the target's worst nightmare to them, petrifying enemies, making them easy targets. If the enemy realizes they're trapped, the technique can be easily broken. The last jutsu, B rank, was the advanced version, targeting multiple enemies and placing them in a forest full of monsters that attack and wear the enemies down. This jutsu is harder to break out of, but the caster must focus hold multiple enemies. Wow, a B rank jutsu, he must really believe in me. Sakura couldn't contain the smile that broke across her face. With this new motivation she got to work learning the techniques as quickly as she could. Hour later, she sure tore into that scroll, didn't she? Naruto questioned the Kyuubi. Yes, looks like she has interest in my kin's art, of course that's no surprise, the fox smugly replied. Naruto just rolled his eyes at the demon's arrogance, but that's what happens when you have a lot of power. Well, Sakura, this time would be for personal projects, but since this is the first day I don't think you have anything you're interested in, Naruto said, picking up his cloak and started to walk out of the training field. Wait, Naruto-sensei, there is something I'm interested in, she said, making him turn around, a quizzical expression on his face. Really? Well, what are interested in, Sakura? He asked, making Sakura grin. I wanted to learn what you were doing when I was training in genjutsu, sensei, her grin still on her face, knowing he had to tell her what she wanted to know. She sure is a curious girl. I guess I might as well tell her, he thought to himself. That was a form of high-level elemental training. What is elemental training? Sakura asked, never having heard of it. Naruto launched into an explanation that elemental training was used to increase your elemental affinity, and that it was dangerous, so only Jonin did elemental training. Of course Sakura asked what an affinity was, which Naruto replied, an elemental affinity is the element a person is attuned to. For example, I have a fire affinity, so learning a fire jutsu would be easier for me, and it would also be stronger when I used it. Sakura was awed that Naruto was doing this kind of training, Wow, Naruto-sensei, that's incredible. Is that what you used against Mizuki Teme? Actually, that's a jutsu I created on my own, he replied, getting a shocked look from Sakura. You created your own jutsu? Yeah, the blast palm is actually a combination of wind and fire chakra. I pressurize oxygen into a volatile state, then I ignite it with fire. Different amounts of element, I get different reactions. The blast palm is just one of the variants I've created, he told her, surprising her further. Can you teach me, Naruto-sensei? It's too dangerous for you to learn, plus I doubt you have both affinities, Naruto answered, making her frown. Anyway, I've been meaning to ask, why do you call me sensei? Well, you are teaching me what you know, which makes me your student, so it only makes sense to call you Naruto-sensei, she replied and watched as Naruto looked at her, then up the sky. Nodding to himself, he turned back to her. Okay, I'm your sensei and you're my student, let's go celebrate my treat. At this point Sakura's stomach growled, she blushed and nodded her head. They both left the training grounds, heading towards a Konoha to find somewhere to eat. Hokage office. 9 Jonin stood in the Hokage's office, who called them in to discuss the team assignments. 3 Jonin were discussing their assigned students as they were the most controversial. The first was a woman in a dress that seemed to be made of bandages, her right arm covered in bandages, her left covered in a red sleeve. She had crimson eyes and black hair. She was Yuhi Kurenai. The other was a tall man with a beard, wearing the standard Jonin uniform and a sash around his waist with the fire symbol on it. He also had a cigarette between his lips. He was Sarutobi Asuma. The last was a man wearing the standard Jonin uniform, his silver gravity-defying hair, a headband covering his right eye, and a mask covering the bottom half of his face. He held an open orange book up to his face. He was Hitaki Kakashi. Kurenai, you are assigned to Shino Aburame, Hinata Hyuga, and Kiba Inuzuka. Asuma, your students are Choji Akamichi, Shikamaru Nara, and Ino Yamanaka. Kakashi, you will be assigned Uchiha Sasuke, Haruno Sakura, and Uzumaki Naruto. Are there any disagreements with these assignments? Sarutobi asked, his hands folded in front of his face, waiting to hear their comments. Kurenai was the first to speak up. Hokage-sama, when did Haruno become a genin? I heard that she failed the exam. I passed her when it was found out the Mizuki failed her on purpose and she stole the forbidden scroll, Sarutobi replied, surprising the other jonin. Kakashi snapped his book shut. From the academy files, she is smart but an average kunoichi. Perhaps she has some promise. Well, Kakashi, looks like you won't be passing a team this year, Asuma said, smirking. Uzumaki barely passed his exam. Haruno may be a little stronger, but it looks like Uchiha will have to wait another year. You should not underestimate the genin, Asuma-kun. As Kakashi would say, look underneath the underneath, Sarutobi said, confident in Naruto's ability. He knew all about Naruto's secret training and his trips outside the village. He was no fool and his observant eyes knew many things about his village and the other villages. You seem to have faith in their abilities, Hokage-sama, are we missing something? Kurenai asked, having a feeling that there was more to the genin than the academy files told. I'm sure all of you will find out what your genin are capable when you have them take your test. If there is no more to discuss, dismissed. Oh, and Kakashi, watch out for sparks. Sarutobi replied, his cryptic message staying in Kakashi's head as all the jonin left. When all the jonin left, the third Hokage lit his pipe and walked to the window that overlooked the village. I wonder how strong you really are, Naruto, and what is it that you needed to hide? Sarutobi thought out loud, contemplating the mystery surrounding the young shinobi. I have a feeling my questions will be answered. Unknown location. So Madara, you thought the higher-ups would leave you to your own devices. Just like a human, young and filled with arrogance, the unknown assailant Sadie's white hair an unruly mess, his green eyes showing how insane he is and a psychotic smile on his face. Barefoot, the stranger was wearing tattered pants, bracers, a chest plate, wielding a giant axe, looked down on Madara. This should keep that fucking Shikigami off my back. Who the hell are you? Madara asked, having difficulty breathing with the hole in his going through his ribcage and out his back. His eyes had been ripped out, leaving bloody sockets, and it looked as if his right arm had been torn off. Blood pooled around his body and his armor was broken, and his legs had been shredded to stumps. Me? Why the hell should I tell you? The man shouted, but calmed down. It's Shiken if you really want to know. What do you want? Madara asked, trying to buy himself some time to escape. His thoughts were halted as Shikin's axe planted itself in his stomach. The demon leaned against the handle, picking his nose. "Omi, nothing big, just to destroy this entire world. Ha 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 ha. You know the usual," the demon replied, looking down at Madara. "Hey, you don't look too good, buddy," Shikin said, leaning down to Madara's face. "Hey, pay attention," he shouted, slapping the Uchiha in the face, making said Uchiha groan. "Ah, does someone have an boo-boo here? I know the cure." A crazed smile crossed the demon's face as he ripped his axe out of Madara's stomach and raised it above his head. "Give my regards to the Shikigami." Shikin then slammed the axe down on Madara's neck, severing the head clean off, blood spattering onto his face. "Now nothing is going to get in my way. Hee 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 ha 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 ha." His mad laughter rang out through the mountains of Lightning Country. "Oh boy, I'm hungry. Wonder if there's a nice village around to grab a bite to eat. Maybe a nice human or two." Naruto sat at his chair in the classroom waiting for his sensei. With him was Sasuke Uchiha, the last Uchiha, or prick as Naruto liked to call him. Also his student Sakura Haruno was also with him. His student Sakura was thinking of something that had happened earlier in the class. Flashback. Sasuke had sat next to Naruto in the morning to avoid dealing with the fangirls fighting over who got to sit next to him. This was in vain as Ino and Sakura fought over the seat. Sakura had asked Naruto politely if he could move. As soon as Naruto got up, Ino came over and said she was sitting next to Sasuke. This led to a fight between Sakura and Ino, blocking Naruto's way out. As they kept fighting, Naruto was going to interfere until the girls shoved him. He tripped backwards before he could right himself. Sasuke shoved him in the other direction, not wanting Naruto to fall on him. Naruto fell onto Sakura, bringing her down with him. When they fell, Sakura landed on top of Naruto, her lips on his. Both of their eyes widened in surprise, and the class was so silent you could hear a pin drop. After a minute they both came back to life and Sakura got off of him, a blush on her face. Naruto stood up, scratching the back of his head nervously. "Well, that was interesting," Naruto said, sporting a nervous smile. "Well, Sakura, looks like you and the dead last get along well," Ino said, smirking at the two. She was about to say something, but then Iruka entered. Sasuke was sitting down, brooding as he always did. He was contemplating who his sensei was and what just he would teach him, and then he would use those techniques to kill his brother. Naruto was contemplating the moments in his life that actually had an effect on him, such as the time he met Tomoko and Mei. Flashback. Naruto was heading towards a bandit camp where his next target was at. He pulled out a Kumo bingo book and flipped to the page with a bald man wearing the standard Kumo Jonin attire. Shu Nakamura. Rank: low Jonin level. Affiliation: Kumogakure no Sato. Info: Jonin from Kumo wanted for theft of village documents, murder of 4 Chunin, and assassination of Endo clan heir. Target is skilled with Raiden techniques and uses twin kama, usually covered in paralysis poison. Target is to be eliminated. Threat level: B. Reward: 160,000 Ryo. Naruto had gotten a tip that the missing nin was terrorizing a nearby town with a group of bandits. So, he was going to be a nice guy and kill him for the townspeople. The reward money was just a nice bonus. He landed on a tree branch overlooking the bandit camp, so he changed the fox mask back to its original form, the closed eyes snapping open, showing the blue slit irises. Naruto grinned, the mask coping his face grinned as well. "Time to earn my dinner," he said to himself, the mask distorting his voice. As he was going to leap into action, an explosion rocked the camp. The bandits guarding the entrance rushed to the explosion but were put down by kunai to their heads. Naruto headed towards the explosion. When he got there, he saw a young girl with a bow and arrow dressed in a tattered kimono with an eye patch over her eye fighting his target. "You little bitch, I'm gonna kill ya for that," Shu shouted, rushing the girl. The girl fired an arrow at him but it missed. Taking advantage, the missing nin kicked her in the stomach, then punched her in the face. The girl dodged the next attack and hit Shu with her bow in the head, stunning him. She leapt back and got some distance, firing arrows at him, keeping her distance. After dodging another arrow, Shu had enough and made hand seals and pointed his hands at her. "Raiden, strike lightning." 2 bolts of lightning shot towards the girl and shocked her. The girl fell to the ground, the electricity paralyzing her. As the girl fell, a younger girl with green hair wearing tattered clothing ran out from behind a tent and got in front the bow user. "Stay away from my Nay-san." Walking over to the girl's Shu pulled out his kama and raised it above his head. "Goodbye, little girl." Before he swung down, he was punched in the face by Naruto. Shu got up holding his broken nose. "Who the fuck are you?" He pulled out his other kama and got into a fighting stance. "Me? Well, I'm here to take your head," Naruto said, pulling out a kunai. Shu made the first move, rushing Naruto and striking him with his kama. Naruto dodged and blocked the attacks. Naruto then struck back with his kunai and Shu blocked his strikes as well. Naruto and Shu clashed weapons, both of them struggling to overpower the other. Naruto stepped, making Shu stumble forward. Naruto kneed him the stomach, making Shu hunch over. Then Naruto stabbed Shu in the back. Shu winced as he felt the knife in his back and swung his kama at Naruto, cutting him across his stomach. The both jumped back from each other. Shu pulled the kunai from back and started making hand seals. Seeing this, Naruto stated making hand seals as well. Raiden. Blue bolt. Shu put hands together and shot a large bolt of blue lightning at Naruto. Futon. Tornado palm. Naruto thrust his arm forward, launching a tornado at Shu. The attacks clashed, Naruto's attack winning out and continuing towards his enemy. The Just You connected, lifting Shu and sending him spinning into a tree. The bark cracked under the pressure from Shu's body slamming into it. Naruto, not wasting any time, ran towards Shu and slammed his fist into his gut. Shu's body disappeared, replaced by a log with a dent in it from Naruto's punch. Die! Shu came up behind Naruto, swinging his kama at Naruto's neck. Naruto ducked under the swing, spun around, charging chakra into his hand, and smashed his fist into Shu's stomach. Explosive fist. Naruto shouted out as an explosion blew a hole through Shu's stomach. Shu dropped to the floor, bleeding out, clutching his stomach. Naruto stood up and looked around the camp, seeing the bandits start to come out from their hiding spots. They must have hid to avoid the being killed in the fight. "Hey you bastard, you destroyed our camp," one of the bandits said. This bandit was silenced by a fireball incinerating him. "You should all leave before I get annoyed," Naruto said, his hand still outstretched. The bandits, seeing this show of force, decided to cut their losses and run. Naruto, remembering the girls from before, went over to where he last saw them. He saw the young girl tending to the older girl, who seemed to have a few minor burns. When the girl saw him, she stood in front holding a dagger in her hand. "Stay away. Calm down," Naruto said, snatching the dagger from her hand and reverting his mask back to a chip on his nose. "I just want to check on you, sister." He knelt beside the girl, looking her over. "She'll be fine, but she won't wake up for a while." What should I do?" the little girl, who had to be 6 years old, asked. Naruto looked at them both. The girls would be easy pickings for any bandits, scratching the back of his head before making a decision. He went over to the nuke nin, cutting off the head, and placing it in a storage scroll. Going back to the girls, he picked up the inert one bridal style. "Come on," he said before walking towards the town, the little girl following him. A young girl blinked as she sat up in the bed she was placed in. She got up, noticing that she still had her clothes on, which was a good sign, and walked out of the room into the hallway. She walked into the main room of what she realized was a room in an inn and saw Mei eating with a stranger. "Mei-chan? Oni-san." The girl, Mei, shouted, running up and hugging her sister. "Are you alright, Mei-chan?" the older girl asked, looking her over. "Yeah, that man over there brought us here after you got hurt," Mei said, pointing at the stranger. She looked him over. He was blonde, whiskers like scars on his cheeks, wearing black pants, a dark gray-blue leather vest. "So, who are you?" Tomoko asked, naturally suspicious of the stranger. "I'm Naruto. What's about you, eye patch?" Naruto asked, noticing the tone in her voice. The girl glared at him. "My name is Tomoko Ito, the little girl is Mei." "Where are we?" "We're at an inn in the town near the bandit camp. I brought you and the kid here after I killed the Kumo nuke nin and chased away the bandits," Naruto said, standing up and stretching. "Why did you bring us here?" Tomoko asked, taking a seat. "Well, I could have left you there, but leaving 2 girls on their own isn't the kind of guy the first What do we do now, Oni-san?" Mei asked, looking towards her sister. Before the girl answered, Naruto spoke up. "I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to eat. You guys can come if you want, my treat." Both girls' stomachs growled and the girls remembered they hadn't eaten for 2 days. They had run into the bandit camp and Tomoko had tried to steal money so they could buy food and supplies. Unfortunately, she was caught in the act. That's when the Naruto came onto the scene. I guess that's a yes, come on. From the day on, Tomoko and Mei had joined Naruto in his adventures. At first it was hard, but over time they both proved to be his friends and important people in his life. All three genin were in deep thought. So deep in thought were they that when a man with gray hair in a gravity-defying hairdo came in, they didn't notice him. They almost heard he said to them, "Yo, I'm your Jonin sensei Hitaki Kakashi." Almost. Did you say something? All three asked in unison. A tick mark appeared Kakashi's head. My first impression is I hate you. Meet me on the rooftop in 2 minutes. Then he burst into smoke and disappeared. What the hell did we do? Naruto asked, receiving shrugs from his teammates. All three headed up to the rooftop where Kakashi was waiting for them. Right on time, Kakashi said, turning a page in his book, not even looking up. The genin took a seat in front of the jonin, Naruto on the left and Sakura on the right, leaving Sasuke in the middle waiting for him to say something. Well, first things first, let's get to know each other. Likes, dislikes, hobbies, goals. How about you go first, sensei, since we don't know a thing about you, Sakura said to Kakashi. Kakashi's book snapped shut and started speaking. Name's Hitaki Kakashi, Jonin of Konoha. I like lots of things, I hate certain things, and my hobbies are really interesting. My goals for the future are, well, those are personal. Sasuke and Sakura's eyes were twitching at their sensei's response, and Naruto was writing what Kakashi said in a notepad. Well, those are personal. The people around him had sweat drops forming on their heads. Are you really writing that down? Sakura inquired, looking over his shoulder. Not really, I'm just doodling, Naruto answered. Sakura giggled, seeing what was on the paper. It was a crudely drawn picture of Kakashi hugging a giant orange book with little hearts above them. Kakashi shook his head. Alright, that enough. Since I'm done with my introduction, how about you go first, Pinky? The girl glared at Kakashi and responded. My name is Sakura Haruno, my likes are. She looked in Sasuke's direction, confused. Well, reading, and my dislikes are traitors and murderers. My hobbies. She looked in Sasuke's direction again. I don't have any, and my goals for the future are to become a kunoichi Konoha can be proud of. Kakashi nodded. Looks like her run-in with Mizuki changed her. Good, Sakura, now you Mr. Broody, Kakashi said, pointing to Sasuke. I am Uchiha Sasuke, I don't have any likes or dislikes, my hobbies are training, that's it. My goal, no, my ambition, because I will make it a reality, is to kill a certain man, Sasuke said, hate dripping on every word. Just as I expected, Kakashi thought to himself. Well, that was intriguing. You next, the Cape Boy, he said to Naruto, who was wearing his cloak. First off, the name's Naruto Uzumaki, and secondly, this is a cloak. My likes are training, fighting, and spending time with friends. My dislikes are people I don't like, and ghosts. He got odd stares at the mention of ghosts. My hobbies are reading, and relaxing on my off time. My goal for the future is to have a family. Naruto looked up at the sky and the other looked at him. This kid, he's different, Kakashi thought to himself while staring at Naruto. With the introductions out of the way, I will inform you of what's going to happen to this team. Tomorrow we will be having a test to determine if you are ready to become shinobi. We already took the genin test, Kakashi-sensei, Sakura said. That was just a test to weed out those who aren't ready. Your test will be a survival test against me. Be at this location at the time on the paper. Oh, and a word of advice, don't eat or else you'll throw up, Kakashi said, handing them slips of paper before disappearing. Sasuke got up and left, leaving Naruto and Sakura alone. Hey, Sakura, aren't you going to ask him out like you usually do? Naruto asked, looking at Sakura. No, right now my training is important, pursuing him is why I was so weak in the first place, Sakura said, clenching her fist. Well then, let's get to work, Naruto said, heading towards their training grounds. Next day, 7 a.m. training grounds. Sakura and Sasuke were at the training grounds waiting for their sensei and Naruto to arrive. Sakura was inspecting an odd dagger. It was given to her by Naruto. The dagger itself was nothing special, a 6-inch handle and a foot-long double-edged blade. It was what was on the blade that made it odd. The words, "Aim for the heart," were scratched into the blade. Naruto had given to her after training, saying she should learn how to use a weapon. Speaking of Naruto, they could see him coming towards them, eating a sandwich. Both of their stomachs grumbled as they glared at him. Naruto raised an eyebrow at them. Is there something on my face? Why are you eating? Sakura asked, clearly upset at seeing him eat. Well, I was hungry, so on the way over I bought the sandwich from a stand, Naruto said, as if it was the simplest thing in the world. What about what Kakashi said? Sakura asked, still upset. Well, that was advice, but I decided not to take it, and you should know better than to not eat. I guess my lesson didn't get all the way into your head. Naruto said, poking her in the head, smirking, while she looked down embarrassed that she forgot something that was shown to her the day before. Her stomach grumbled again, causing Naruto to sigh. Here, this should help, he said, handing a ration bar. It won't taste great or good though. Sakura took the ration bar and ate it quickly, making a face at the taste but happy at having something in her stomach. I have another one if you want it, Sasuke, Naruto said to the Uchiha, holding out a ration bar. Sasuke looked at Naruto with disdain, like, I need your help, loser. Naruto raised his eyebrow at Sasuke before shrugging, you can't help everyone. Here, Sakura, you can have it. Sakura took the ration bar and ate it as well, glad to have more food. She hated the feeling of hunger. I guess we have to wait for Kakashi-sensei, Sakura said, taking a seat. Better get ready for a long-ass wait, Naruto replied, laying down and closing his eyes. 2 hours later, yo, came Kakashi's greeting as he appeared in front of them. Sasuke was meditating and Naruto and Sakura were staring at the sky. Hey, I'm here. The three students finally took notice of Kakashi. Hey, when did you get here, Kakashi-sensei? Kakashi suddenly felt like Guy at the moment but pushed those feelings aside. Alright, let's get right to it. The genin lined up in front of Kakashi. Your task is to take one of these bells from me, he said, holding 2 silver bells, to pass the test before time runs out. Kakashi pulled out a timer and placed it on a stump. Ready, the genin tensed, go. All 3 genin vanished from sight. Not bad, Sakura and Sasuke are going to need practice, but Naruto, I can't detect him. Seems the report about his escapes from the Anbu are true. All 3 genin observed the Jonin before one made a move. Naruto broke through the tree line, throwing shuriken at Kakashi. Kakashi jumped out of the way and dodged Naruto's kick from behind. Naruto turned around and sent a punch at Kakashi, who dodged. Naruto kept launching punches and kicks at Kakashi, increasing speed every time he missed. Kakashi blocked a fist aimed for his head, surprised, but not impressed, at the force. He grabbed Naruto's forearm and threw him over his shoulder. Kakashi was surprised when Naruto burst into smoke when he hit the ground. Naruto examined the memories from the shadow clone, trying to look for any weak spots he could exploit. Just like I thought, Kakashi is still above my level, if only slightly. I'm going to need help to get those bells. Naruto jumped in the direction he felt Sakura's chakra signature. Elsewhere, Sasuke was attacking Kakashi furiously. Sasuke couldn't believe how hard it was to land a hit, let alone get near the bells. Thinking quickly, Sasuke pulled out a kunai and threw it at Kakashi's head. As Kakashi moved his head to the side, he blocked a kick to his head courtesy of Sasuke. Sasuke swung his other foot down, forcing Kakashi to block with his free hand. Then Sasuke punched Kakashi in the gut, which was blocked by Kakashi's leg. Not wasting time, Sasuke reached for the bells, but was thrown away before he could grab them. Well, you're different from the other two, Kakashi said, dusting himself off. Sasuke smirked as he started making hand seals. Of course, those losers are nothing compared to me. Kaden. Grand Fireball. A genin shouldn't know adjust you like that, thought Kakashi as he was engulfed in the fire. Sasuke cut off the chakra and looked at the scorched earth. Where is he? Right here, Kakashi said, his hands bursting out of the ground, grabbing Sasuke's ankles and dragging him into the ground. Kakashi looked down at Sasuke, well, his head, as he struggled to get out. Good luck getting out, Kakashi smiled as he leapt into the trees. Damn it, Kakashi looked down at Sakura, ready to cast a genjutsu on her. He was stopped by Naruto slamming his foot into his head. As Kakashi landed on the ground, Naruto jumped down, grabbed Sakura and vanished. I can't believe he could ambush me, Kakashi said, rubbing the back of his head. Naruto and Sakura. You alright, Sakura? Naruto asks, looking around checking for Kakashi. I'm fine, Naruto, thanks for helping me, Sakura answered. Good, listen, I need your help to get the bells from Kakashi, Naruto said. Alright, I'll help. What do I have to do, Naruto-sensei? Sakura asked. Naruto started explaining his plan to Sakura, working out the details. When they were done, they headed to the direction where they sensed Kakashi's signature. As they traveled to the location, they came across Sasuke's head. AMMMMMPH. Sakura screamed before her mouth was covered by Naruto. Sakura, calm down. Naruto looked down at Sasuke and smiled. Life is sweet. Looks like Kakashi kicked your ass, Sasuke. Shut up and get me out of this hole, you idiot. Sasuke shouted, glaring at Naruto. He expected the idiot to follow his demands. What he didn't expect was for Naruto to kick him the head, knocking him out. I think the Uchiha need to be quiet. What did you do that for, Naruto-sensei? Sakura asked as Naruto dug him out. Well, he started as he heaved Sasuke over his shoulder. We need another distraction for Kakashi, so I'm volunteering Sasuke for the position. Let's go. Naruto, carrying Sasuke, and Sakura headed for the direction Naruto sensed Kakashi to be at. They arrived at a clearing where the timer was to see Kakashi standing in the center. Time to start, Naruto whispered to Sakura. Naruto made a shadow clone and both picked up Sasuke by his arms and threw him at Kakashi. Kakashi looked up to see Sasuke flying at him and got ready to defend himself. Then he noticed that Sasuke was unconscious and grabbed him by the back of shirt. What the hell? Naruto burst out of the ground, kunai drawn. Kakashi dodged his attack and jumped back. Kakashi got ready but noticed that Sasuke was still in his hand. Kakashi let go but Sasuke stayed in his hand. Kakashi tried to shake him off but Sasuke was stuck on him. What did you do? Like it, I call it the anchor seal. It sticks one object to another via chakra. Naruto explained and ran towards Kakashi, who was having a hard time dodging with Sasuke. Naruto kept lashing out at Kakashi while landing blows on him. Not letting up, Naruto lashed out with a vicious haymaker that connected with Sasuke's chest. Oh crap, Naruto muttered as he tried to pull his hand free. Looks like you caught yourself, Kakashi said, sweat dropping. Not very smart. Hey, I'm a ninja, I adapt, Naruto said, grabbing Kakashi's free hand and sticking it on Sasuke's shoulder. Sakura now. Sakura came out and ran at Kakashi, who realized the plan and was trying to escape. Kakashi kept trying to move but Naruto was holding his ground and he couldn't make seals. Inevitably, Sakura grabbed the bells from Kakashi's waist. We passed, sensei, Sakura said, grinning. Naruto smiled and Kakashi smiled. Well, his eye was an upside down U. Yes, you did. Now if you would cancel to release the seal, Naruto? Kakashi asked and felt his hands come free from Sasuke's body. That was a very clever plan. You even managed to incorporate Sasuke into your plan despite being unconscious. However, who will you give the other bell to, Sakura? I'll give Sasuke a bell, Kakashi sighed, expecting this, and the other one to Naruto-sensei since he came up with the plan. Kakashi smiled and nodded. Good then, as of now, Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke, the boy groaned, rubbing his chest as he started to come to, are now my students and we are Team 7. Sasuke, hearing this, smirked in triumph. Sakura cheered, cha, we passed. Naruto added his 2 cents, we're fucking awesome. Bring Tazuna in, ordered the Sandame, motioning for the guards to bring him in. An old man walked in wearing a straw hat, glasses, and drinking from a jug. So these brats are going to protect me. Looks like they can't even take care of themselves. No need to worry, Tazuna-san, my students are quite skilled and if they are not enough I am also a Jonin, Kakashi said from behind his book. Okay. Team 7 meet at Westgate in an hour. Pack enough gear for 2 weeks. All 3 headed to their homes, grabbed their things and headed to the gates. All 3 got there and saw Kakashi standing next to the client. Wow, Kakashi, this has got to be the first time I've seen you on time, Naruto said, walking up with Sakura and Sasuke. I have to be on time on some occasions. Let's move out, team, diamond formation, Kakashi said as they left the village. Kakashi was at the rear, Naruto on the front, Sakura on the left, and Sasuke on the right. So Tazuna-san, what is the land of waves like? Sakura asked, while observing the scenery. My country is beautiful, the weather is always nice, the land always provides a good harvest, the sea is full of fish, and the people are kind, Tazuna said, a faraway look in his eyes. Sounds like a peaceful place, Kakashi said, turning a page in his book. Naruto and Sakura nodded in agreement, while Sasuke just looked ahead. It had been a few hours and the team was still heading towards the land of waves, when Naruto noticed a puddle on the road. Looking at his team he saw that Sasuke and Sakura hadn't noticed it. He looked at Kakashi whose eyes smiled and nodded. As they walked by the puddle, a chain shot out and wrapped around Kakashi, and two ninja appeared, one with a horn and the other with two, around Kakashi holding the chain. One down, the chain tightened and ripped the Jonin to shreds. 4 to go. Kakashi-sensei, Sakura shouted as the two ninja rushed them. Acting quickly, Sasuke intercepted the one-horned nin on the left and Naruto took on the two-horned ninja on the right. The ninjas, seeing their enemies split up, did the same and disconnected the chain. Naruto reached his opponent first and had to duck under a claw slash. He delivered two quick jabs to the ninja's ribs and a right hook to his jaw, which missed. Naruto dodged to the left to avoid another slash, and punched the ninja in the face, followed by a right and left jab combo, then an overhead smash. The nin bent over from the last blow and received a knee strike to the gut. Not letting up, Naruto smashed his elbow into the nin's spine, making him fall to the ground, where Naruto slammed his foot into the back of his head. The ninja fell unconscious from the blow to the head as Naruto went to go back up. Sasuke said Uchiha was having a bit of trouble with his opponent, having trouble getting a shot in. His opponent was just too fast for him to hit. Naruto, seeing his teammate in trouble, decided to lend a hand. The horned ninja was so focused on attacking Sasuke that he didn't notice Naruto running at him. Naruto tackled the ninja down to the ground, pulled out a kunai and stabbed him the head. "Hey Kakashi-sensei, the enemies have been taken care of, how about you come out?" Naruto said, getting up from the ground. "Naruto, what are you talking?" Sakura's question died in her throat as Kakashi appeared. "Very observant, Naruto. I didn't think you noticed me use substitution, just you," Kakashi said, tying up the unconscious ninja. "So who are these guys, Kakashi-sensei?" Sakura asked, walking towards them. "These two are rogue Kiri Chunin, nicknamed the Demon Brothers. Why do you think they attacked us?" Naruto asked while he looked in Tazuna's direction, who was sweating a bit. "I don't think they were after us, but perhaps Tazuna-san can shed some light on the situation," Kakashi said as he too looked in Tazuna's direction. "Lying on mission details is a very serious offense, Tazuna-san. I don't know what you're talking about," Tazuna said to them. "Kakashi-sensei, just tell us already and stop beating around the bush," Naruto said, sighing from boredom. Rouge Ninja wouldn't be this close to the border of their country if they could help it, and since none of us would be targets, then that leaves Tazuna-san, Kakashi said, snapping his book shut. "So tell us why they are after you." Tazuna sighed as he looked at the ground, knowing he was caught. "You might want to take a seat for this." The team took seats in front of the bridge builder. "My village used to be a peaceful place and then Gato came. At first he just took over a few docks and the warehouses and we took no notice. Then he started trying to buy warehouse and docks from their owners. When an owner wouldn't sell, he ended up disappearing. Eventually the people realized that Gato had killed and taken the docks and warehouses from their owners, but it was too late. Gato now had a monopoly on Wave Country. We couldn't get supplies because of his outrageous prices and no help from our daimyo. He too was suffering from Gato's monopoly. I made this trip to get protection, building my bridge which would allow us to have a different trade route and finally break his hold on us, but I didn't have enough money, so I had to lie. I'm sorry." "Well, that was a long-ass story. Seriously, next time stick to the key points," Naruto said, laying on his picking his ear. "Like some asshole is terrorizing my home. Shit is fucked up, and I might die. You know the important stuff." "Naruto, you're being rude." Sakura chastised him, then turned to her sensei. "We need to help him, Kakashi-sensei. This mission is outside your bounds. We should head back to the village," Kakashi said to his team as he stood up. "Fuck that, Kakashi-sensei. I'm going to help the old man," Naruto said, standing up as well. "I don't really like guys like Gato, plus I can't stand leaving someone in trouble, so I'm going to help with or without you." "Okay, let's put it to a vote. Go back or go forward," Kakashi said to the team. "You know my answer," Naruto said, adjusting his cloak. "I'm with Naruto, they need our help," Sakura said. "I agree with the idiot," Sasuke said, pooping up next to Naruto. "Holy shit, where the fuck did you come from? I've been standing here the whole time, Dobi," Sasuke said, scowling. How dare they ignore him? Kakashi's eyes smiled at Naruto's antics, though to be honest I forgot that Sasuke was here as well. Anyway, it seems that we are going to be helping you out, Tazuna-san. Thank you all, Tazuna said. The travelers had just made it over the channel that separated the mainland from the land of waves. Be alert guys, the next time we're attacked it will definitely be Jonin-level enemy, Kakashi said, putting away his book and taking the rear to watch out for ambushes. They had been walking down the road for a while when Naruto heard something rattle in the bushes. Without thinking he threw a kunai towards the noise. Thunk! He checked the bushes and saw that there was a white rabbit pressing itself against a tree. Sorry about that little fella, almost made you my dinner, Naruto said, picking up his weapon and joining the group. Why is there a snow rabbit out in the middle of the summer? A shout brought Naruto out of his thoughts. Get down. Naruto pulled Sakura and Tazuna down as a giant blade flew over the space where their necks had been. The blade stuck itself into a tree and a man landed on the handle. He wore gray and white camouflage pants and leather braces on his forearms. He had no shirt but a large buckle on his chest. Bandages covered his face and he wore his headband crookedly. It bore the Kiri symbol with a slash through it. His weapon looked like a giant butcher knife. It has a circle cut out of the top and the semicircle near the handle, which was used for decapitation. It had a 2-foot handle and a 4-foot blade, making it 6 feet in total. I can see why the demon brothers couldn't finish the job, the man said, looking down at them. Kakashi Hitaki of the Sharingan, they must have been no match for you. Zabuza Momochi, demon of the hidden mist, what are you doing here? Kakashi said, getting into a defensive stance in front of his students in charge. I think you know why I'm here. Leave the old man and we won't have any trouble, Zabuza said, pulling his sword out of the tree and landing on the ground holding the blade over his shoulder. I'm afraid I can't do that, Kakashi said, lifting up his headband showing the Sharingan underneath. Sasuke's eyes widened in shock. How does he have a Sharingan? Well, let's get started, Zabuza said, making a hand seal. Ninja art. Hidden mist, just you. A heavy mist rolled in, blocking everyone's view. The mist was so thick it was hard to see each other. Careful guys, Zabuza is a master of the silent killing technique, so keep your senses open. As Kakashi said this, a heavy feeling began to roll over them. The pressure made Sasuke and Sakura feel suffocated. Similar thoughts ran through each of their heads. Is this what a battle between two skilled shinobi feels like? Sasuke thought. The pressure is so intense. Sakura thought. It feels like time is standing still. I'm suffocating. This is too much. I can't take it. I have to end it. I don't want to die. You two calm down. Everything's going to be fine. The voice cut through their thoughts like a knife though butter. Surprisingly, it came from Naruto. Don't worry, we'll kick his ass. Naruto released some of his chakra to get rid of Zabuza's own killer intent. Sasuke and Sakura felt some of the pressure leave and Naruto's words strengthened their resolve. My looks like at least one of these brats is competent. Zabuza's voice echoed around them, making it hard to track him. Kidneys, lungs, liver, larynx, clavicle, spine, brain, heart, so many to choose. Where to start? Time stood still. None of them even breathed. None of them made a sound. It's over. Zabuza appeared behind the 3 genin and bridge builder, his blade already swinging, looking to take them out. Before the blade could kill them, it was stopped by Naruto holding a kanabo one-handed. The kanabo was 5 feet long. Half of the weapon was a gold handle with a ring at the end of it, the other half was a club made of red metal with small black spikes protruding out of it. Etched into the handle of the weapon were the words, Fracture Maker. AN. Check link in profile. Looks like I was right about you, kid, Zabuza said, pushing against the weapon, trying to overpower Naruto. Too bad I have to kill you. Don't underestimate me, no brows, Naruto said, grinning at Zabuza's reaction. Not letting the moment go to waste, Kakashi stepped between them and stabbed Zabuza in the chest. Zabuza dissolved into a water puddle, as Zabuza appeared behind Naruto and cleaved him in two. Naruto puffed into smoke as Kakashi rushed Zabuza and engaged him. As Zabuza and Kakashi fought, Naruto threw off his cloak and jumped in to help Kakashi. You two guard Tazuna, Naruto ordered. Zabuza swung his blade at Kakashi's head, who ducked under it and swept Zabuza's legs from under him. Naruto jumped in and swung his club down on Zabuza's head. Zabuza managed to roll out of the way and leapt back. He immediately blocked a kick to his chest from Kakashi, using the flat of his blade, and pushed him away. He then parried an overhead swing from Naruto's club and taking advantage of the opening he kicked Naruto in the stomach. Naruto hopped back clutching his stomach. He rolled to left as Zabuza swung his sword down on him. Zabuza was punched in the face by Kakashi, who followed it with a kunai slash. Zabuza substituted himself, appearing behind Kakashi and swung his blade horizontally. Kakashi dusidiked under the blade but was kicked in the back, launching him into the lake. Naruto came up behind Zabuza and smashed him in the head, which exploded into water. Kakashi was standing up on the lake. This water feels heavy. Sweden. Water prison just you. A water dome formed around Kakashi, imprisoning him with Zabuza standing next to the dome with his hand on it. Shit, you three get out of here, you're no match for Zabuza, Kakashi said from inside the dome. Zabuza made a hand seal, creating a water clone that rushed the genin. Naruto threw off his cloak and picked up his kanobo. Sorry sensei, but not only is that a short-term solution, plus I don't leave a man behind. He lifted his weapon and rushed at the clone. Naruto smashed Zabuza's weapon to the side and punched him in the chest. Explosive fist. The clone exploded as Naruto continued on towards Zabuza and Kakashi. Zabuza, seeing that he would need to stop messing around, created 6 water clones. 3 rushed Naruto at high speed, appearing in front of him, blades in motion. Naruto was cleaved in half, only to reveal a chopped log. Naruto ran to the clones from his spot in the bushes, chakra coursing through his weapon. Kanabo just you. Nail driver. Naruto swung his club at the clones, the wind chakra running them through. You're going to need to do better, Zabuza, Naruto said, smiling smugly as he continued towards them. Don't be so smug, you upstart, Zabuza said, commanding his clones to perform a just you. He realized he wasn't dealing with an ordinary genin. All 3 clones started making hand seal. Not wanting to see what he had up his sleeve, Naruto hurried to stop the clones. The clones finished before he could stop them. Sweden. Grand Water Dragon just you. The clones launched their attack at Naruto, who had stopped. Looks like you're taking me seriously, Naruto said, taking a batter's stance as the dragon bore down on him. Too bad it's not enough. Kanabo just you. Mountain drop. Naruto swung his club at the dragon. The attacks collided, causing a huge explosion of water, drenching everyone. Finally got a clear shot at him. Naruto ran through hand seals. Kaden. Fireball just you. The fireball raced towards Zabuza, who had no choice but to release Kakashi or be fried. Good job, Naruto, let's take him out, Kakashi said, standing on top of the water with Naruto standing next to him. We've got to pull this off fast. I'll immobilize him and take him out with that kanabo just you used. Got it, hi sensei. Kakashi ran at Zabuza, who started making hand seals, Naruto running right behind him. Kakashi activated his Sharingan and looked into Zabuza's eyes. Zabuza's eyes widened as his arms started to fade away. Shit genjutsu, I have to break out of it now, as his enemy was 3 meters from his position. Now Naruto. Naruto ran past Kakashi, pumping chakra into his legs to speed up. Zabuza bit his lip and his arms came back, but Naruto was already in front of him. Kanabo just you. Moten drop. Son of a b. Zabuza was sent flying from the blow, off the lake, and through one tree before crashing into another tree, laying on the ground, his back against the tree. Kakashi appeared in front of Zabuza, ready to deliver the final blow. Damn, I underestimated that brat? Yeah, he has a habit of surprising you. Now you pay the price, Kakashi said, raising his kunai. Schlicked, schlicked. Kakashi lowered his kunai as Zabuza dropped to the ground, 2 senbon needles in his neck. Another shinobi appeared wearing a hunter nin mask with red design on it, wearing a teal battle robe, with brown pants. Identify yourself. I am a Kiri hunter nin. I've been tracking Zabuza for a while now. Thank you for taking care of him for me. I'll take him now, the hunter ninja said as Kakashi checked Zabuza for a pulse. We do the work and you take the prize. I'd be mad, but I'd probably do the same thing, Naruto said, popping up behind the hunter nin. The ninja looked at Naruto, looking calm, but with wide eyes under the mask. I didn't even sense him. The ninja picked up the body and teleported away from them. Kakashi stared at the spot where the hunter ninja had been. Something didn't seem right to him. He covered his Sharingan and turned to his team. Alright, we have to get to Tazuna's house, there we can plan out our next move. Fortunately, thanks to Naruto's help he didn't overuse his Sharingan. Oh, and Naruto, good job handling the fight. You're much stronger than I thought. Thanks Kakashi-sensei. Naruto responded, pressing his fracture maker to a tattoo on his shoulder, making it sink into shoulder like a stick being dipped into water, until the whole thing was gone. Let's move out. The team arrived at the house at nightfall, and were greeted by Tazuna's daughter, Tsunami. I'm home. Father, you're back, Tsunami said as she hugged her father and looked at the Konoha ninja. Who are they, father? These are the super ninja who protected me on my way here, said pointing to them. This is Kakashi, Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura. Oh well, thank you for protecting my father, Tsunami said, bowing to them. There is no need for that, Tsunami-san. It was Kakashi-sensei and Naruto-kun who protected your father. Well, you must all be starving, come and eat. They all went to the dining room where a young boy was eating. OG-san, you're back. The young boy ran up to his grandfather and hugged him. The boy was about 8 years old, black hair and a bucket hat on his head. Who are they? They're the ninja who protected your grandfather. Yeah, we're here to help with the Gato problem, Naruto said, smiling at the kid. You can't beat Gato, you'll just end up dead. Inari, be nicer, they're here to help us. They can't help us, no one can. I'm going to the dock. Naruto's smile dropped. Nice kid you have, he said to Tsunami. Please forgive him, he's had a hard life because of Gato. What exactly happened? Kakashi asked as they sat down at the table. Tazuna and Tsunami shared a look before Tsunami nodded. Alright, I'll tell you the tale of Kaiza, the hero of Wave. Daddy, why did you have to go? Inari cried, holding a picture of a man with spiky brown hair and an X-shaped scar on his chin. So Gato killed Kaiza because he was afraid that he would rally the villagers, Sakura said, looking at her team members who were in a room provided to them. They were discussing what they had heard from Tazuna, as well as what they were going to in regards to protecting Tazuna. Man, the more I hear about this guy, the more I want to tear his head off, anger dripping of his voice. Yes, and if Gato knows about Tazuna building the bridge, then he will stop at nothing to kill him, Kakashi said, also picking this time to inform his team of something important. Listen up, Team Zabuza is still alive. What? Sakura looked at her sensei in shock. But he was dead, you checked him for pulse. I know, it was bothering me a while, but then I remembered the weapon that the hunter ninja used to kill him, Kakashi said to his team to see if they realized what he was getting at. The answer came from Sasuke, Senbon needles. Naruto nodded his head before adding his piece. That guy must have been Zabuza's accomplice, and anyone with advanced knowledge of anatomy would know where to strike to put someone in a false death state. Right, so Zabuza will definitely come back to attack us, Kakashi told his team. It looked like Naruto bruised Zabuza's ribs, because he probably reinforced that area with chakra. With those injuries in the false death state, which takes a toll on the person's body, the nervous system needs time to fine-tune itself back to normal. If the hunter nen knew enough to pull off the false death state, then they're obviously a medic. I give us about a week before he's back on his feet, Sakura told her team, who gave her weird looks. What? My mother is a medic nin and she taught me herself. That's really impressive, Sakura, Naruto said to her, making her blush slightly at the praise. So I have a week to train you three. Zabuza won't be caught off guard by Naruto, and you two may have to deal with his accomplice. You two are strong, but I have neglected train you in chakra control. Tomorrow you'll be learning water walking. Naruto, you will protect Tazuna while I train them, Kakashi gave their orders. Hi sensei. Get some sleep, it's going to be a long day tomorrow. Kakashi headed out to a nearby lake with Sasuke and Sakura after breakfast. Naruto went with Tazuna to the construction site. Alright you two, this is like tree walking, but this time send your chakra to the bottom of the lake to stay afloat. You'll need to shift your chakra constantly to not sink. The two genin walked onto the lake, managing to stand on the water for 30 seconds before sinking. Looks like I'm going to have some free time, Kakashi thought to himself as he sat up in a tree reading his book. I wonder if Akane will catch Emi and Hideki in bed. While Kakashi was reading his porn, Naruto was with Tazuna throwing some bandits over the railing of the bridge to their deaths. Looks like Gato knows Zabuza failed. He'll probably send more until he realizes that he'll need a ninja, Naruto told Tazuna as the construction workers got back to work. Thanks for the help, Naruto. You don't know what his bridge means, Tazuna said, looking to his workers. Once it's built, Wave will be free and our families won't have to suffer anymore. Naruto saw the fire in the old man's eyes and smiled. Guess I should help. Shadow clone just you. 30 Naruto clones appeared in front of Tazuna. I thought you could use some extra manpower, old man. Tazuna bowed his head holding back tears. Thank you, Naruto. He straightened himself and gave orders to the clones. This boy is something else. It was the 4th day of the week and everything had been going smoothly. Sasuke and Sakura had learned water walking and were now practicing on doing it subconsciously. With Naruto's help, Tazuna was closer to finishing the bridge. Kakashi had taught Sakura and Sasuke 1 or 2 just you. He had offered to teach Naruto some, but he had declined, saying that he should focus on the other 2. They were all around the table having a good time. Sakura laughing at Naruto's antics, Sasuke brooding at joke made at his expense, and Kakashi reading his book chuckling as well. Why are you all laughing? Gato is going to kill you all. Inari slammed his fist on the table, stopping the conversation. You don't know how strong he is, you're just going to die. Calm down, kid. Gato comes around here, we'll eliminate him. No sweat. Naruto smirked at Inari. You can smile, but you don't how hard our lives are. You enjoy the safety of your village where they don't know suffering. Naruto closed his eyes and smiled. You're right, I don't know suffering. My life has been pretty calm and happy, but my comrades do. Sasuke over there lost his whole family in one night to a traitor. Sakura lost her father on a mission. Kakashi lost his teammates and sensei as well as his father. The Hidden Leaf Village knows suffering, as do other people out in the world. Naruto stood and smiled. You should stop crying, it gets you nowhere. Kakashi-sensei, I'm going to train. Naruto, wait. Let him go, Sakura, Kakashi said. The idiot was right about one thing, crying gets you nowhere, Sasuke said. He doesn't know anything, Inari said, glaring at them before running out the door. I'm sorry about my son, Tsunami said, looking down. Don't worry, I'll go talk to him, Kakashi said as he got up from the table. Sakura got up from the table and followed Kakashi to hear what he had to say. Inari was sitting on the docks crying. He heard footsteps behind him, and turned to see Kakashi. Hey, can I sit down? Inari just nodded his head. Kakashi sat down and looked up at the moon before he turned to the young boy. You know, despite what Naruto says, he has lived a hard life, harder than most. Inari looked up at the man staying quiet. He never knew his parents, so he's been alone since he was born. He never had any friends either, and the villagers never liked him, sometimes attacking him for no reason or ignoring him like he didn't exist. He used to cry a lot, but I guess one day he realized that it did him no good. He became stronger because of that. Out of all this, Naruto understands you the most and what you're going through, Kakashi said to Inari, turning back to look at the moon. Inari looked down and thought about Kakashi had just said to him. Sakura, who had been listening in on the conversation, had a sad expression on her face. Naruto, was your life really that bad? Naruto was off in the forest blowing off some steam from his conversation with Inari. He was punching a tree using his explosive fist, his attacks making holes in the trees. That brat actually got me. You should have beat that whelp, came the voice of the fox from Naruto's mind. Letting a weakling get away with talking to you like, disgraceful. Kyuubi, haven't heard from you in a while, Naruto said, wondering why the fox was talking to him now. Also, the kid is young and traumatized, I'll cut him some slack. Why are you talking to me now? I was asleep. If you have not noticed, there is not much to do in a cage, the fox said, yawning. I also figure it time to teach the next step in controlling my chakra. You already taught me how to call on your chakra in case I'm running low, what's next? Naruto asked. You will be learning physical manifestation and manipulation of my chakra, the fox yawned as he explained it to Naruto. Once you learn how to this, you'll be able to grab and hit objects your solid chakra. So what's the first step? First, pull on my chakra. A girl in a pink yakuta, who couldn't be older than 15, was walking through the forest. She came into a clearing and saw a boy wearing dark gray-blue clothing asleep. The area around him was full of broken trees and holes in the ground. She walked up to the boy and kneeled next to him. This is the boy that attacked Zabuza-sama. Up close he is quite handsome. She moved to wake him, but as she got closer his hand snapped up and grasped her neck. Naruto opened his eyes and saw where his hand was. It was quickly removed. Are you alright? Naruto asked, sitting up and checking her over. She rubbed her neck before responding, yes, I am fine. She looked at him as he scratched his cheek and blushed, obviously embarrassed and feeling guilty. I'm really sorry about that, miss. No, I should have been more careful. You are a ninja, and from what I have heard you shouldn't sneak up on one, Haku said smiling at him. Still I feel bad about harming such a pretty girl, Naruto said smiling back at her. She blushed at the compliment. Why don't we just forget what happened between us? Sounds good. You know you didn't tell me your name. Naruto scratched the back of his head. It is Haku, she said sticking out her hand. Naruto shook her hand. I'm Naruto, Konoha Shinobi. Pleasure to make your acquaintance. He kissed her hand causing her to blush. So what are you doing out here, Haku? She showed him a basket full of roots and plants. I'm collecting some medicinal plants to help heal my father. I see he must have been roughed up by Gato's men, right? Naruto inquired. Yes, we couldn't pay Gato his money, Haku responded lowering her head, so he couldn't see her face. She couldn't afford to be recognized by the enemy alone and especially not the one who was able to sneak up on her with little effort. The more I hear about this guy the more I want to tear his head off, Naruto said frowning, then he smiled. Don't worry, Hakumi and my team are going to take care of that bastard. You seem like a very strong person. Is there anyone you consider precious? Haku said as she stood up. Naruto looked up and her serene look on his face. Yeah, it took me a long time to find them, but I do. Why do you ask? I ask because I believe that a person can only become strong when protecting someone they love, Haku said, and she picked a few more plants. Naruto smiled at her words. I see where you're coming from. Since I've met the people I care about I've become stronger to protect them. Haku smiled, glad that he agreed with her. I can see that you will only grow stronger, Naruto-san. She turned from him and walked away. I enjoyed this little chat, Naruto-san. Farewell. Goodbye, Haku-san. Always a pleasure speaking with a pretty girl, he said as he waved to her. Oh, and tell Zabuza I'll be waiting for him. Haku stopped walking, still facing away from him. I don't know what you mean, Naruto-san. She kept walking into the forest away from him. If she had turned, Naruto would have seen her bewildered expression. Sakura walked into the clearing as Haku disappeared into the forest. Sakura looked around at the destruction caused by Naruto, going overboard as always. Training with him for the past month, she was used to this scene. Hey Sakura-chan, what are you doing here? Naruto said, standing up. Wham! And immediately got reacquainted with the ground. I was looking for you, idiot. Sakura shouted at him. You didn't tell us where you were going, or where you were. You could have at least sent a shadow clone to inform us. Naruto stood up, rubbing the spot where she hit. Sorry, I didn't know you would worry about me. Of course I would be worried about you, she said, looking him in the eyes. You are my friend. A smile grew on Naruto's at those words. He grabbed her hand. Come on, let's head back. I'm sure that Kakashi is worried about us. Sakura blushed at the contact, though Naruto didn't see it. She looked at their hands. Why does he always make me blush? Crash, clatter, schlicked, schlicked, thump, thump. Two bodies fell to the floor with kunai embedded in their heads. You guys can come out now, Naruto said as Inari and Tsunami came in from the kitchen. Looks like I was right about Gato sending some goons after you. Tsunami took a look at the two corpses. Those two are Gato's personal thugs. We would see them whenever Gato came into the village. You think a guy with so much cash would have better help? Well, if he sent these losers here, then he doesn't trust Zabuza to get the job done, Naruto said as he picked up the bodies, took them outside and threw them into the surrounding ocean. I'm going to the bridge. Gato will probably send a lot more out there to make sure the job gets done. What if more of Gato's thugs show up? Inari asked. Naruto walked up to him and pulled out a kunai, then placed it in Inari's hand. I doubt he will, but if does, use this. Naruto smirked at the kid's face. I can't, I'm too scared. Inari looked down, his eyes watering. Naruto sighed. He really didn't want resort to this. Wham! OWW, what was that for? Inari rubbed the top of his head, glaring at Naruto. This village is important to you, right? So, at this, Naruto raised his fists, as if he was guarding. You've got to protect it with both arms. Don't worry, I'll protect this village with both arms. Inari's eyes widened as he remembered Kaisa's words. He looked down, hat covering his eyes, fist clenched and arms shaking. You're right, Naruto-san. I have to protect my village. Inari's head snapped up, a fire burning in his eyes. Glad to know I can count on you, kid. Kid, Naruto said, patting Inari's head. I'm off to the bridge, was all he said before he vanished into the treetops. Inari looked at the treetops and then ran towards the village. Inari, where are you going? Tsunami shouted. Naruto-ni-san is right, I have to help protect this village. Kakashi evaded another slash from Zabuza as the mist ninja jumped back into the mist. I have to end this quickly and help Sasuke. Where is the blonde-haired punk with the club Kakashi? Zabuza's voice asked. What's wrong Zabuza, are you still mad he one-upped you? Kakashi said mockingly. I was just wondering if he would switch teams, after all I could use someone like him. Plus Haku seems to have taken a liking to him, Zabuza said, making another pass at Kakashi. Kakashi turned to his left and blocked the strike with two battle kunai. What are you talking about? Those two have never met. Hee hee, looks like your student doesn't trust you. Convincing him might be easier than I thought. Zabuza smirked under his bandages, before shoving Kakashi away with his monstrous strength. Sasuke was having problems against his own opponent. He couldn't nail her with a good hit or just you. Along with that he had to deal with the needles now embedded in his body, making it hard to move. Damn, even with the Sharingan I can't keep up with her. Face it Uchiha, you are no match for me. Surrender or I will kill you, Haku said, holding 3 senbon between her fingers, as the reflections in the ice mirrors that made up the dome reflected her movements. Shut up, I won't be beaten by you. Sasuke shouted, standing up ready to face her. Fine, I will kill you this time. Haku flew out of the mirror ready to finish off the Uchiha. As she neared him, an arm shot out of nowhere and wrapped around her throat. Sorry, I can't let you kill, even though it would make life more bearable. That voice. Haku looked in the corner of her eye and saw the blonde hair and blue eyes. Naruto? Naruto looked at her, a smirk on his face, a friendly one. I wish we could have met again in a better situation. Now shut off the just you. You were willing to kill for your cause and so am I. Haku looked down and cut off the chakra flow to her mirrors. The mirrors melted into water as Naruto made hand seals, his arm still wrapped around her throat. Futon. Great breakthrough. Naruto inhaled and let out a blast of wind that blew away the mist. The mist cleared away to show Zabuza standing in front of Kakashi. Zabuza and Kakashi looked over to where Naruto was standing. Zabuza's eyes widened as he saw Naruto with his arm around Haku's neck. Zabuza, drop your weapon or I kill her, Naruto said, and just to get his point across he pulled out a kunai and pressed it up against her neck. You think I care about her, brat? She is nothing but a tool to me. Go ahead and kill her, if you don't I will, Zabuza responded. Haku had told him the kid was kind-hearted, he wouldn't do it. Naruto raised an eyebrow. All right, no skin off my bones. Naruto started to drag the blade across her neck. Zabuza heard Haku hiss in pain, and when he saw blood he lost. Stop. I'll surrender, leave the girl alone, Zabuza said, putting his weapon down. Kakashi walked over and placed restraint on Zabuza's wrist and a chakra seal on his chest over his heart. Naruto put the kunai away and pulled out a slip of paper, then placed it on Haku's neck. The girl stood still, unable to move her body. What did you do to her? Don't worry, no brows, I just placed a paralysis seal on her neck so she can't move, Naruto said, then he laughed. I can't believe you fell for my bluff. What? Yeah, I just made a cut under her jaw. I wasn't really planning on going through with it, Naruto said, laughing more. The two jonin at Haku's face and saw a deep but rather harmless cut under her jaw. I can't believe it, outsmarted by some upstart, Zabuza growled out. I told you he has a way of surprising people, Kakashi said, eyes smiling. Sakura walked over to them now that they had won. Good job, Naruto-kun. Naruto smirked, did you expect any less? Sasuke looked over at Naruto, his fist clenched so hard his knuckles turned white. How is he always ahead of me? I couldn't do anything, even my dojutsu was useless, and he comes in and stops both our enemies. I have to become stronger. Kakashi, what's the kid's name? His name is Naruto Uzumaki, the unpredictable shinobi of Konohagakure, Kakashi said with pride. Unpredictable shinobi, huh, it suits him. Clap, 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 clap. What a touching moment. They all looked over to edge of the bridge where a small man in a business suit was, and behind him was an army of bandits. I knew you wouldn't be able to finish the job. Good thing I planned on not paying you, and that girl will be an excellent slave. So that's Gato, Naruto muttered. His eyes narrowed as he stared at the man, then he cracked a smile. Naruto walked up towards the army, smile on his face. You know, I've been meaning to have a chat with you, and since there's no one stopping me, this is the perfect moment. Are you stupid, brat? This army behind me will crush you, Gato shouted. Naruto's smile grew wider as he made a one-handed tiger seal. What army? Then he sent out a pulse of chakra. Boom, boom, boom boom. The bridge underneath bandits gave way as multiple explosions rocked the bridge. The bandits all fell 50 feet to the water below. Most were crushed by debris. Others were pulled under by the vacuum effect caused by the larger parts of the bridge and drowned. Gato had not been part of this event as the ground did not collapse beneath him. The other looked on with wide eyes as Naruto took out the bandits with one attack. Tazuna on the other hand a different reaction. My bridge, look what he did to my super bridge. Why my bridge, oh the humanity. Naruto and the other sweat dropped as Tazuna started bawling. Wow, talk about making a guy feel bad, Naruto thought to himself. He cleared his head of those thoughts, he had important matter to attend to. Now Gato, I believe we were having a discussion, Naruto said coldly as the handle of his kanabo slid out of his shoulder. Naruto grabbed it and pulled the rest out, releasing his killer intent. Gato backed away as the boy came closer, his club over his shoulder looking like a demon. Please, I'll give you anything, money, women, anything, just spare me. Gato bowed, his body shaking like a lead. How pathetic, put this rat out of its misery, whelp, came the voice of the fox. With pleasure, Kyuubi. Naruto picked up Gato by his collar. I want money, lots of it, everything you have. Gato pulled out a slip of paper and wrote something down. Here, my safe combination, the base is to the west 100 kilometers. Thanks, Naruto said, slapping Gato's forehead with a paralysis seal. What are you doing? We had a deal, Gato managed to say as his body went stiff. I never said I would let you go. Now I believe I said I would tear your head off when I met you, Naruto said, taking a batter stance. I'm going to enjoy this. Naruto swung his kanabo at Gato and the results were gruesome. Gato's neck tore in half as his head and spine flew like a baseball over the ocean. His body stood still, convulsing as blood squirted out the neck before it fell to the ground. It's out of here. Konoha wins the game, and the crowd goes wild. Naruto shouted, making fake cheering noises. Haku, Kakashi, and Zabuza sweat dropped at the blonde's actions. Yeah, unpredictable suit him perfectly. Sasuke looked a little green, being used to death, but not one so gruesome. Sakura seemed to be okay, shaking her head at Naruto, after all she had seen him blow up a man's head. We've come to help. The ninja turned around to the other side of the bridge and saw all the villager with farming tools and weapons at the ready. Inari leading the charge with a crossbow in his hands. You're kind of late, Gato's dead, Naruto said apologetically. The villager all went into stunned silence and then began to cheer. Some were crying, others were hugging each other, and other cheering and thanking the Leaf Ninja. The people of Wave Country were free. Thank you, for all you have done for us, Tazuna said, bowing to the Konoha shinobi. It was no problem, old man, Naruto said, smiling. They had gone to Gato's base and taken all the money and deeds and gave them back to the people. Naruto also freed Haku and Zabuza, seeing as they no longer had a quarrel. The two decided to join the Konoha ninja on their trip home, seeing as Zabuza realized Haku meant a lot to him. He hoped to find asylum after all. Ninja joined other villages all the time. Thank you, Naruto ni-san, for showing me how to be brave, Inari said, hugging Naruto. Naruto patted the kid on the head. Just don't forget it, kid. Goodbye everyone, and with that the ninja left to their home. So what shall we name the bridge? Tazuna smiled. How about the Great Naruto Bridge, after the one who gave us our courage back? Needless to say, the villager agreed wholeheartedly. The team, accompanied by Zabuza and Haku, were hopping through the trees. Haku and Naruto were talking about all the places Haku had been. Kakashi and Zabuza were conversing as well, talking about random things, keeping an eye on each other. Sasuke was on the lead, wanting to get home so he could rest up and begin training. Sakura was behind Naruto and Haku, who were quickly getting closer together. Though she would not admit it, she was a bit jealous at how close they were becoming. Why am I getting so upset about this? It's not as if they're making out. She had admitted to herself on the mission that she had feelings for Naruto. While they were just feelings, she was going to pursue it. After all, her Sasuke plan wasn't panning out. How could she communicate with someone who barely spoke, and when he did speak, it was all doom and gloom? This mission had also reaffirmed a belief she had about the shinobi life, since her father's death. A shinobi's life can end at any moment, so make sure to leave it with no regrets. What she had never mentioned to anyone was that she was born into wedlock. Her father was going to marry her mother after he came back from a mission, the mission he was killed on. Her mother never recovered, and when she was old enough her mother began to throw herself into the hospital. Rarely did Sakura see her now. Well, now I have a lot of time to get closer to Naruto. Sakura thought to herself, thinking of ways to get into a more personal setting with Naruto. It wouldn't be too hard, after all no one was interested in Naruto, although Haku seemed to have taken a liking to him. Oh well, nothing worth having in life is easy to obtain. Kakashi was with Zabuza at the rear of the group discussing what might occur when they arrived at the village. Zabuza was already coming up with ideas to get out of the village as quickly as possible if negotiations went south. Kakashi was explaining to Zabuza what would happen to them when they set foot in front of the village, telling Zabuza not to even stare at people funny or he would be executed. Know that it surprised Zabuza. All villages had to kill first, sort out the bodies later method of dealing with unknown shinobi. Finally, we're home, Naruto exclaimed happily, standing in front of the huge gate. As soon as he finished that statement, they were surrounded by an Anbu squad who had their swords drawn. Ah, this brings back memories. Zabuza Momochi, you and your accomplice are to come with us to the Hokage's office, the captain ordered. Drop all your weapons, place your hands above your head and come quietly or else we will use lethal force. Zabuza and Haku dropped all the weapons they had on them and raised their hands above their heads. Naruto picked up their weapons and sealed them away while the Anbu cuffed both Zabuza and Haku. I hope the kid can do what he says he can or we're screwed, Zabuza muttered under his breath. Well, Naruto-kun, you visits are as unusual, as always, Sarutobi said, looking at the two foreign ninja, Squad 7, and his Anbu. The Sandame took a drag from his pipe, letting out a stream of smoke. Kakashi, report. The sensei of Squad 7 stepped forward and then explained the situation to the Hokage, from their first fight with Zabuza to their confrontation on the bridge. The Sandame listened to Kakashi's retelling of their mission, a smirk upon his face as he listened. Kakashi told him of their first encounter where Naruto had aided him in defeating Zabuza, then their arrival to Wave Country. He then retold the Genin's training and their final confrontation against Zabuza and Haku, which caused Sarutobi to chuckle at how Naruto outsmarted his enemies. Naruto also put in his 2 cents and how he felt about the foreign shinobi joining their ranks. My seems as if you have had a very interesting mission. Good job on handling it, Squad 7. The Hokage then turned to the other two. Anbu, dismissed. I shall handle these two personally. Yes, sir, all 4 soldiers reported before vanishing. So, you two wish for asylum in my village? Sarutobi asked, giving them a hard stare. The 2 ninja kept a calm face. While that is perfectly normal in our professions, you realize there will be some problems with you staying here. Does that mean we are allowed to stay, Hokage-sama? Zabuza said, knowing that he should be respectful to the man who held his life in his hands and possible soon-to-be boss. Haku looked at the Hokage and then to Naruto, who gave her a reassuring smile which she returned. Yes, you are, Sarutobi said, making the 2 ninja smile in relief. Well, Haku smiled and Zabuza was just glad he wouldn't have to keep running. There will be some stipulations to your stay here, however. Like what? Haku asked, knowing that she would agree to them if it meant a new home. Zabuza-san, you will have to be imprisoned and interrogated by one of my men to make sure you are not trying to harm my village. After we have made sure that is not the case, you will let out on 2-month probation where you will be monitored. After that, if you wish to join our ranks you may. As for you, Haku-san, you will be placed under the guard of Naruto-kun. I believe is capable of keeping an eye on you, and since you have no record of ever being a ninja from any village, we can treat as a foreigner who wishes to join our village. Do you agree to these terms? Sarutobi asked the 2 who shared a look between themselves. I agree to those terms, Hokage-sama, Zabuza said, bowing his head. As do I, Hokage-sama, Haku said, bowing her head as well. Good, Sarutobi snapped his finger and an Anbu appeared. Anbu, take Zabuza-san to the level 1 cell 16. Inform Ibiki-kun that he will have an interrogation tomorrow at 0900 and to meet me beforehand. Haku-san, you shall go with Naruto to his home. If you wish you may come in tomorrow and apply to join our ranks. The Anbu took hold of Zabuza and teleported away. Haku bowed to her new leader. Thank you for this opportunity, Hokage-sama. You're welcome, young lady. Dismissed. Well, I'll see you 3 for training tomorrow. Bye. Kakashi smiled as he disappeared in a puff of smoke. Sasuke just turned and walked in the direction of his home. You losers better stay out of my way on the next mission. His teammates just stared at his retreating form before Naruto made a comment, "That guy's a real asshole." Sakura and Haku giggled at Naruto's accurate description of Sasuke. "Come on Haku-chan, I'll show you your new home. You're welcome to tag along Sakura-chan." Sakura accepted the offer and they headed off to Naruto's home. As the group walked along, Sakura took notice of all the people glaring in their direction, more specifically at Naruto. Deciding to find out more, she asked a question that had been on her mind for a while. "Hey Naruto?" What is it, Sakura-chan? Whenever we go on missions in the village, or whenever I mention your name for that matter, people seem to get really angry," Sakura said as the question had been plaguing her for a while. The emotional responses she got from people seemed to tell that they were angry at Naruto for something he did, and it must have been something terrible. They're just angry about all the pranks I've pulled on them," Naruto told her nonchalantly, not even facing her. If he had been, she would have seen the cold look in his eyes. Sakura may have not seen his eyes, but she noticed his muscles tense, decided it was a touchy subject, and to leave it be. They continued on until they reached an apartment complex, located in one of the poor districts of Konoha. "Welcome to your new house Haku. Let me show you where you'll be staying at, and I hope you enjoy your stay," Naruto said as he walked up the steps of his complex. "I'm sure I will, Naruto-kun, I'm sure I will," Haku said to herself as she looked at Naruto, admiring his physique, now that he had lost that green cloak of his. She followed Naruto up the steps of the complex towards her new room. Naruto led her to one of the apartment doors and opened it up. "Here it is, your new home sweet home." Haku stepped into the apartment to find a very empty living room, with a kitchen connected to it, and a hallway that led to the bedroom and bathroom. All in all, it was a pretty nice apartment for someone who hadn't had an actual home in many years. "Thank you," came the reply from Haku. "No problem, Naruto didn't finish because Haku had wrapped him in a hug. "No, thank you for this and everything else you have done for me," she said gratefully. Naruto wrapped his arms around her. "Sure, it's no problem, you needed help and I was glad to lend a hand." Naruto understood how she felt, and he was glad he could help his friend. They separated from the hug and Haku began to look around her home. "Sorry that the rooms aren't furnished, I don't put many people up." "It's fine, Zabuza-sama gave me all the earnings he had from the missions we have done together, so I should be able to furnish my home," Haku said, taking out bag that jingled. "That's great, I'll take you to the shopping district right now," Naruto said, getting ready to lead her to shopping district of Konoha. It also doesn't hurt to learn the layout of the village. Important info. Konoha is separated into 3 districts. The first is the Hokage Tower, and the surrounding administrative buildings, built in front of the Hokage Monument. It is also where the Anbu barracks are located, as well as the HPC, high-profile captive, cells located underneath the tower for people who are considered to not be a threat but are deemed extremely important. Related File 53A. HTP, High Threat Prisoner, Cell. The second is the upper-class district of Konoha, where all the rich merchants and politicians live. The Hyuga and Uchiha have their clan homes located in this district, while the other shinobi clans have their clan homes spread throughout the village in the 2nd and 3rd districts of Konoha. The 3rd district is the most diverse district of Konoha. It has many sub-districts. It is where the middle-class districts are located, as well as the many business districts of Konoha. This is also where the slums are located in the poorer areas, as well as the red light district. It is also where a majority of the civilians live, as well as shinobi. Then there are the 3 gates of Konoha and the training grounds, which are spread on the outskirts of the village and the forest behind the Hokage Monument. Happy to inform you. Konoha Shinobi Information Center. P.S. We will kill you if you tell anybody. Have a nice day. Message over. Thank you for helping me move all my furniture here, Naruto, Haku said as she looked at her new furniture. "Yeah, but I can't believe you got it for so cheap," Sakura commented as sat on Haku's new couch. "Yeah, it's really surprising that they gave you such low prices for this stuff." Naruto smirked with his back to them. He was the reason that the prices were lowered, after he threatened the merchants who thought it would be a good idea to try and extort his friend. "Well, I should be getting home now," Sakura said. "This day has been pretty exhausting." With that, Sakura got up and Naruto joined. "Yeah, I should be getting up to my place too, have to prepare for tomorrow." The door closed and Haku sat down on her couch admiring her new home. She couldn't believe how drastically her life had changed since the day she met with Naruto. Naruto, he surprised her. Not many people, let alone a ninja, would immediately help a stranger. But he went even further than help. He trusted Zabuza and Haku, saved them, vouched for them, and offered her shelter. He had done more for her than anyone, except Zabuza-sama, had done for her in her life. She was beginning to trust him already, and that troubled her, because she didn't know his reasons for helping her. Her father's betrayal had hurt her deep, and it had taken all her will to keep going. She didn't know if she could take it again. Then she yawned, realized the answers wouldn't all just come to her, and decided to eat, go to bed, and deal with it in the future. With Naruto. Naruto opened the door to his apartment, yawning as he headed to his room. It had been a mentally exhausting day for him. All he wanted to do was go to bed and sleep like a log. He always hating going to the shopping district and dealing with the villagers' shit. Some days he wondered why he didn't just blow their stores to bits and dance on the rubble. Kami knows he had every right to just go off on a homicidal rampage. However, he learned a long time ago that getting angry about a problem never solved it. Sure, he could do everything he thought about, but what would he have in the end? Some destroyed families, dead ninja, a lot of property damage, oh, and his head on pike. He had learned that being violent wasn't going to do him any good in the village, so a long time ago he made peace with his lot in life and decided that he might as well fight for the village. After all, not everyone in the village wanted him dead, just a vast majority of them. The old man, Sakura, Kakashi, a few jonin, the med staff that had been assigned to him seemed to be okay with him being around. Adding to that list, the people who lived in the slums didn't seem to mind him at all. Guess when you live at the bottom it doesn't matter who did what but how to keep going and finding a way out. He hopped into his bed glad to be home and have some time to think about what he could do next. As he thought about it, he realized he couldn't do much except train and wait for the Chunin exams. After all, that's when the debt collector was supposed to come by, as well as Tomoko and Mei. Well, on the plus side, he could get to know Sakura and Haku better, and after realizing fighting Zabuza, he realized just how much more training he needed. Zabuza would have beat him if Kakashi hadn't been there. Well, he could take care of all of that in the month he had to prepare. Right now he just wanted to sleep like log. 1 month later. It had been an unusual month for Naruto, unusual because it was good. For the first time he had someone to hang out with in the village, someone who stuck up for him when the villagers were being unreasonable. Though he didn't really need their help to handle it, it was nice to have someone who had your back. His relationships with Sakura and Haku had gotten even better. He had no idea how good it was to have actual friends. Sure, he had Momoko and Mei, but he only saw them so many times since he met them. Even Kakashi was actually taking his job as a sensei seriously. When they met for practice, Naruto mentioned the schedule he had with Sakura. When Kakashi asked to see this schedule, Naruto showed to him and was surprised by Kakashi's reaction. He told Naruto that he would use that schedule to train them. Flashback. Good job, Naruto. This has all the basic areas a ninja need to train in, as well as a few things that most rookies should do. Kakashi said to Naruto. You think so, Kakashi-sensei? Naruto said. Yeah, can't tell you how many times I escaped death by being the entertainment, Kakashi said, laughing. And, while Kakashi would help out Sasuke and Sakura more than him, he would come over and speak to Naruto, giving him pointers, even teaching him some tricks on control and weapons. It seemed that he and his team had gotten closer because of their A-rank mission, except for Sasuke. He seemed to be angrier than ever and would constantly try to pick fights with Naruto, although he was ignored. What Naruto didn't know was that Sasuke felt inferior to him since the wave mission. It was Naruto, not him, who helped Kakashi fight off Zabuza, while he cowered. It was Naruto who made Zabuza forfeit by looking underneath the underneath. It was Naruto who killed all the bandits with one move. It was Naruto who killed Gato and gave everyone in Wave their courage back. And it was Naruto who was hailed as the hero of Wave by its people. Well, no more, he would grow stronger and beat Naruto into the ground. He was no weakling, and soon he would make everyone know it as fact. Unaware of his teammates' thoughts, Naruto was contemplating the problems in his life. Tomoko, Sakura, and Haku. He was developing feelings for Haku, who had been a great companion in the past month. They had similar past and Naruto could empathize with her feelings about what she had been through. Though it was hard for him to open up to her, he gave her small tidbits about his life, though it was the opposite for her as she told him almost everything about her. Then he thought about Sakura, who he continued to train with during their training sessions. Outside of that he would hang out with her, sometimes with Haku and sometimes by himself. It was fun being with the pink-haired girl. It surprised Naruto how much he enjoyed his time with her. He had really misjudged her. She was a kind person, and intelligent as well. He could relate to her as well. Her situation with her mother sounded bad. Her mother was rarely ever home, and when she was spent little time with her daughter, so Sakura never had anyone to really guide her aside from an aunt who stopped by occasionally, something he knew about all too well. Finally there was Tomoko, who he knew he had a something with her. Whatever it was, he knew she felt it too. So why did he keep think about the other two girls if he knew he could have something with Tomoko? It didn't make any sense to him that he could develop these feelings for these girls. So here he was on top of the Hokage monument. What the hell am I supposed to do? Haku, Sakura, Tomoko. No, this is ridiculous. Just because I have feelings Haku and Sakura doesn't mean they have feelings for me. These thoughts and feeling were infuriating, especially since he had so many emotional experiences, and could empathize with people. It seemed however that he had no idea how to deal with his own. He slapped his hands over his face. Maybe I should just forget about Haku or Sakura as more than friends. Or should I follow those feelings, but then I risk losing Tomoko. Then again she might not be the one for me, or she could be. Why the hell am I worrying about this? I'm only 14. But I might die. I am a shinobi, and it would suck if I died before knowing love, and losing my virginity. Why the hell can't someone just give me some damn advice on what to do? He shouted at the sky and of course got no reply. Naruto flopped onto his back and just stared up the stars, and repeated the two words that kept running through his head the entire time he was talking to himself. This sucks. North Gates. At the same time at the northern gates two people walked into Konoha. These two people would cause Naruto lots of trouble, painful trouble. Come on Tomo ne, I want to see Aniki, the small green-haired girl shouted to the black-haired teenager. Calm down Mei-chan, I want to see Master too, but don't make a racket. I bet you do Ne-chan, Mei said making kissing noises. Naruto and Tomoko sitting in a tree kissing. First comes love, then come Mariao. The older, now blushing, girl hit her young companion on the head. Come on, let's find out where he lives, Tomoko said to Mei as they headed to the guard post to check in. The two men on duty at the time were Izumo and Katetsu, who happened to be friends of Naruto. Coming in kind of late, aren't you, miss? Tomoko, the raven-haired girl, responded and pointed to her companion, and this is Mei. State your business in Konoha, Katetsu said to them. We are here to visit a friend and request asylum as refugees, Tomoko replied swiftly. Present your identification, Izumo stated. The two girls pull out their own cards with their information and handed them to the guards. Alright, everything checks out. Enjoy your stay in Konoha. Izumo smiled as he handed the cards back to their owners, glad that the formalities were over with. We will, Tomoko nodded in thanks. By the way, do you know where Uzumaki Naruto lives? Izumo's eyes narrowed, but his face didn't change. Why would you like to know, Miss Tomoko? Katetsu was also paying close attention to the conversation and readying his weapons in case anything happened. Well, you see, he is the friend I am visiting, so I would like to know where his home is, Tomoko replied earnestly, noticing their reactions. Ah, well, here, let me give you directions then, Izumo said, pulling out a slip of paper. He jotted the directions, and gave it to her. Thank you. You're welcome, Izumo replied, a fake smile on his face. The two girls walked away, and when he no longer saw them he turned to Katetsu. Go inform Hokage-sama, I'm sure you would like to know about this. Right. With that, Katetsu took off to the Hokage's office to inform him about the strangers. Naruto had given on think up a solution for his problem. He would just deal with the problem when it came. Kami, not even his love life, which was still partially non-existent, could be simple. He headed up to his apartment to get some sleep for his team meeting tomorrow. Plus sleep sounded really great at the moment. He should have realized even that wouldn't be easy for him. He opened his door only to be tackled by a green blur. Aniki is here. He looked up to see the yellow eyes of his adopted little sister. Shit, how could I forget they were coming? Behind Mei there was Tomoko walking over to him, a concerned expression on her face. Master, are you all right? Yeah, I'm fine, Tomoko. He grinned as he sat up, Mei getting off of him. Did you two get here all right? Of course, Master, there was no trouble for us, Tomoko replied. As she was about to ask another question, a stranger pooped up in the doorway. She was a girl about her age with her raven hair in a bun. I heard shouting, "Are you alright, Naruto-kun?" Haku asked from the doorway. She looked into the apartment and saw a small green-haired girl and a black-haired girl about her age. "Yeah, I'm fine, Haku-chan, thanks for the concern through," Naruto said to his friend. Tomoko looked at Haku and wondered how this girl knew her master. Haku was thinking along the same lines as Tomoko. Naruto was wondering why the girls looking at each and was about to voice his question but was beaten to the punch. Who is this Naruto-kun? At that question both girls eyed each other, wonder what the other's relationship was with the blonde. Said blonde was thankful that Tomoko referred to him by his first name instead of master. That would have been hard to explain. "Oh, sorry, Haku, this is Tomoko. Tomoko, this is Momochi Haku," Naruto said, introducing both girls to one another. "Hello." Naruto felt a shiver run up his spine at the tone both girls used. He looked between both girls, trying to figure out why both girls seemed to dislike each other. "So, how do you know Naruto-kun?" "Naruto-kun?" Tomoko grinded her teeth, realizing this girl had an attraction for her master. "Naruto-kun is a very old and close friend of mine," she replied, taking a hold of Naruto's hand. "How do you know Naruto-kun?" "Naruto-kun is a very close friend of mine, a very close friend," Haku replied, taking a hold of Naruto's other arm. "In fact, I came over to invite Naruto-kun to have dinner with me." Naruto was cut off as Tomoko answered for him. "He would love to, but he is eating with us." She took his hand in hers, a movement that Haku did not miss. Haku glared at Tomoko, who was smiling innocently, but she wasn't about to give up. "Well, your friends could join us." "Sure, that sounds great, Haku-chan," Naruto answered before Tomoko could cut him off again. Haku smiled, Tomoko glared, while Naruto realized that perhaps Haku did like him and he just made his situation worse, and Mei just looked at the three people confused, wondering what was going on. Naruto looked nervously between the two girls, obvious to atmosphere between the two girls. He was trying to figure out the right thing to say to break the tension in the room when a familiar voice piped in. "Well, at least you know the frost tart wants you," Kyuubi said, ticking Naruto off. "I'd appreciate it if you didn't refer to my girl, I mean friend, as a tart." "Oh ho, the kid wants more. The women I knew, I taught you well." Naruto couldn't help but picture a perverted grin on the demon. Though, by the looks of it, these two are ready to tear each other's throats out. "Really, no shit, and here I thought they were getting along," was Naruto's sarcastic reply. "Do you have any advice whatsoever on how to handle this?" "Well, if they were demon women, you just have your way with them," Kyuubi shrugged his shoulders. "I asked for advice, not useless bullshit," Naruto said, trying to keep his cool. "And I would like to be out there ravishing some women, but that isn't going to happen." Kyuubi smirked from within his cage. "Well, I'm bored with this, have fun with your mates. Why can't this be easy?" Naruto looked between both girls, and decided to give it his best shot. "So Haku-chan, what have you been up to at the hospital?" Haku turned away from Tomoko and smiled to Naruto. "Oh, thank you for asking, Naruto-kun. I've been working with the doctors trying to get my training as a med nin done as quickly as I can. In fact, Sakura-san is helping me." While she answered, she placed her hand on top of his, making Tomoko grind her teeth, until she heard Sakura's name. "Who is this Sakura person?" Tomoko asked, curious as to who her master was with when she was not by his side. "She is a close friend of Naruto-kun and his sort of student," Haku answered. Tomoko stared at Naruto, who was unnerved. "Really, Naruto-kun never mentioned this to me." "Then I suppose you aren't as close as you thought, Tomoko-san," Haku said, enjoying how it annoyed the girl. Deciding to stop messing with this girl, she turned to Naruto. "Naruto-kun, I forgot to tell you how much I enjoyed our time at the festival." She wrapped her hand around Naruto as if they were a couple. The blonde became flustered from the contact, which served to anger Haku off. Haku shot Tomoko a murderous look. "Why don't you take your hand of him, you one-eye skank?" Naruto looked between both girls and one word came to his mind: shit. "What was that, you bitch?" Tomoko shouted, standing up and slamming her hands on the table. "I called you a skank, or do you only have one functioning ear as well?" Haku shouted, repeating Tomoko's actions. "Girls, calm down," Naruto said, his words landing on deaf ears. "At least I'm not throwing myself at someone else's boyfriend," Tomoko shouted back, making Haku reel a bit. "You must be delusional as well, because he has never said that you were more than a friend," Haku shot back, jabbing Tomoko in the chest with her finger. "Aniki, you need to do something," Mei said urgently as she tugged on Naruto's shirt. Naruto looked at Mei, then at the two girls who were shouting in each other's faces. "Stop." Both girls looked at Naruto, who looking between the two of them. "Now listen, I like both of you, a lot, and it looks like you both like me, but you have to stop shouting, it won't solve a thing." "You're right, Naruto-kun," Haku said, taking a deep breath. "This won't solve anything," Tomoko said, turning to him. "You have to choose." "What?" "You have to decide," Haku said. "Me or her, which one?" Naruto seemed to think about it before answering, with a simple, "No." He looked at both girls. "I like you both a lot, but you can't just ask me to choose one of you. It isn't that easy, okay? I just need to think about this, okay?" He ran his hands through his hair. "Tomoko-chan." The girl perked up at hearing him call her. "The apartment next to mine is furnished, you can have it." "But I thought I would be staying with you," Tomoko said, looking down. "No, not right now, I need to be alone," Naruto said, heading out the door. Tomoko looked at the doorway, then looked at Haku. "You ruined everything." "Oh, you think you deserve him? I understand him. I can give him what he needs," Haku passionately stated, staring right into Tomoko's eyes. "Even if you say that, I won't let you have him," Tomoko replied just as passionately, meeting Haku's gaze. "Come on, Mei-chan. Thank you for the food, it was delicious." "Haku Oni-chan," Mei said happily, patting her stomach. "You're welcome, Mei-chan," Haku said, smiling at the small girl. She shut the door and leaned against it, thinking about what Naruto had said, and looked within herself to see if Naruto was even worth the grief. She closed her eyes and looked at the memories she had made this past month with Naruto. The times they hung out, the times she found comfort with him, the times that she opened up to him, the times she cried, the times he held her, the almost kiss they shared made her heart ache for him. Then she pictured him, his face, his smile, his eyes, those beautiful, piercing blue eyes that she loved to look into, and then he was gone. She gasped as she felt the pain in her chest, the thought of losing him causing her pain. She had her answer and said it out loud. "I am in love with Naruto Uzumaki." Naruto stood on his balcony looking up at the stars. He always enjoyed looking up at them since he was a kid, and they never said anything back. Never called him names, never hurt him, never shunned him, they just listened. He sighed as tried to think of what to do about this ridiculous situation, though only he could get himself into this situation. "I told you to leave me alone. I don't really have an answer if that's what you want," Naruto said, looking down at his village. "Master, I just want to know why you even like her, and if you still care for me," Tomoko said, walking to stand by him. "Tomoko, I like her because she is like she understands me, she is someone I can see something of a future." Tomoko looked down at his words. "I also like you as well, and you know me, you've been by side for a while, but it's only now that I see you as something more." She brightened up at those words, but she needed more to know that she meant something to him. "I am not here for you answer, I just want to know that I am someone you still trust. Please, master." Naruto looked at her and realized that she was scared of losing someone close to her heart. He took a deep breath as he prepared to say something he didn't want to. "Alright, Tomoko-chan, I'll tell you something about my past." Her eyes widened. He had never told her much about his past. It was a subject he did not ever want to discuss. The last time she prodded him about it, he got angry and left her and Mei earlier than usual. She never asked him again. "I'll tell you about the first time someone tried to kill me on my 6th birthday. She gasped but said nothing else, fearing he might stop. Flashback. A 6-year-old child was hiding in his home, knowing that if he went out he would be beaten like every other year. He sat in his kitchen waiting for his dinner to cool down on the frying pan. He looked out the window to the night sky, then to the village, which was bright and filled with the laughter and cheering of celebrating villagers. He turned to his stove and placed the contents of the pan into a bowl. He ate in silence, thinking of why he had to hide here. Of course he knew the villager would plant his head on a pike if he went out. He finished his food and headed to bed, nothing else to do but try to sleep. As he placed his dishes in the sink, he heard a noise behind him, before he was grabbed by the hair and thrown into his stove. He looked up and saw a man, dressed in black with murder in his eyes. The boy tried to run away, but his attacker jumped on top of him and wrapped his hands around the boy's neck and squeezed. The boy struggled to breathe, trying to get the man let him go. He looked up into his killer's eyes, and no mercy or remorse in them, only hate. The man's hands got tighter, cutting off circulation to his head. Then his vision started to go black. He got sleepier, but kept struggling. In desperation he reached out for anything and grabbed a handle. Not thinking, he swung it at his killer and smashed him in the head with a pan. The man fell to the ground, but the boy did not stop. Like a man possessed, he kept swinging his weapon at the man's head. Over and over again the pan came down on the man's head. CL Unk. The boy sat back and looked at the man's head, what was left of it. His head had caved in, pieces of bone stuck out, brain matter leaked out, and blood pooled around the man's head, no longer even recognizable. The boy looked at what he had done, at the bloody pan. He felt the bile rise in the back of the throat and vomited his dinner. He kept vomiting until nothing came out, not even bile, and just kept dry heaving, his tears mixing with the vomit. He sat back up and just cried, sobbing until he fell asleep from exhaustion. And that's how they found him, soaked in the blood of his killer and smelling of vomit. Naruto finished looking into her eyes. "Master, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry." With tears in her eyes she hugged as hard as she could, trying to express how much she loved so he would know he was never alone. He wrapped his arms around her. "I have never told anyone that story, Tomoko, and you always have my trust. Thank you, Master. I promise you won't ever have to feel that way again."
That's all for now. If you want to see next part, then please like this video and subscribe my channel. Thank you.